For the funniest night of your life, meet Todd Oliver and friends.
How come when I throw the stick, you don't get it? I don't want it.
A first-class act of family fun featuring Irving, the world's famous talking dog.
Without me, you wouldn't talk. Without me, you wouldn't eat.
A complete cast of wacky characters that will put you in the aisles with loads of laughter.
Would you mind giving an old man a kiss?
Sure.
Good. Hey, mister, get up there.
Todd Oliver has been featured on numerous national television shows, including The Tonight Show, Late Night with Letterman, and America's Got Talent.
Sandy from Cleveland, she asks, our dog Chester pees in the house. Any advice? Clean it up.
Todd is well known for his 20 years of hilarious performances on showboats in Nashville and Branson, nominated 3 years in a row at the Branson All-American Entertainment Awards. Now, Todd is booking tours in communities across the USA with a delightful 90-minute showcase of ventriloquism, comedy, music, magic, and lots of audience participation. Todd Oliver and Friends, guaranteed to be the funniest night of your life.
Hello and welcome back to Landon Live. My name is Landon Harvey, and tonight we have Todd Oliver. Todd, how are you doing tonight?
Well, better now that I'm on your show.
Yeah, and you just had a show. How did it go?
Great.
Fantastic.
Fabulous. It was a high energy, and the crowd was really sharp. They caught all the little stuff, it was just one. It was like as good as it gets, just great. Yeah.
That's awesome. Where are you performing right now?
It's called the Playhouse Dinner Theater at Shepherd of the Hills in Branson, Missouri.
Okay, fantastic. Let's get into the interview. How did you begin your career as a ventriloquist? Where did it start for you?
Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy.
Okay.
I saw them on television in the 60s, and Charlie was it. He had the class and charm, and just witty, but the personality just knocked me out. And I was, I was probably 7 or 8, and I wanted one of those. I wanted, for 1968, I was 10 years old. I got a Charlie McCarthy doll for Christmas, and a string behind the neck, but he still looks so cool, And
right.
My dad died 3 days later, and which really, messed me up. And the vent, really, that little Charlie doll really served many purposes. And went to the library, 793.6, the remember the section. They had all these great books on vent and magic. And, I just got the record by Edgar Bergen and Jimmy Nelson, too. And then, I used to watch, back when I was a kid, or, the Hollywood Palace and Ed Sullivan, they both those shows loved vents. So I saw everybody from, Jimmy Nelson to Vicki Taylor, who became a friend of mine, and all kinds of people. Jane Nemeth and Nicky, his little dog, all kinds of really great. There were a lot of vents on television. If you were a professional nightclub event, you had a pretty good shot at doing a lot of those shows because they liked vents, That's not that was it. Started out as a volunteer. Just, I was at 13. I didn't really have much of an act. And I just started calling around and booking my show anywhere I could book it. And now and then I might get $10 from a library to do a show,
So how old were you when you started booking shows?
13.
Okay, yeah.
13, yeah.
Wow.
My mother never drove a car. Back in those days, some women didn't drive, And so I used to take the city bus with the figure in the suitcase around town and go do my act. Everybody thought I was running away from home.
Wow, that's awesome. Wow. So did you have, aside from inspiration in the vent, did you have other people that inspired you comedically or when you were writing for your characters?
Oh, sure. I loved Myron Cohen.
Okay.
And I loved Alan King and Red Skelton. Phyllis Diller. Oh, I loved Phyllis Diller.
Yeah.
Oh man, she, she had that edge, without being nasty or gross or off color. I mean, she just had that edge. And
Sure.
and Toady Fields, and I loved Alan King and Willie Tyler. Huge influence, big influence. Willie Tyler, yeah. And there were others, and yeah, Maury Amsterdam from the Dick Van Dyke Show had a great nightclub act, and he used to tour supper clubs, and yeah. And then other people, Woody Woodbury Records. He was a piano lounge, piano bar comedian.
Okay.
And
yeah.
He told stories and told jokes. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. So how is your act, from when you were 13, marketing yourself, trying to get any show you could get around town? How did that grow to where you are today? And how did it change venue wise and the way you approach comedy? I know this is a loaded question with a bunch of different questions within it, but it's an interesting thing to see how you evolve as a performer.
Well, yeah, and we all do. And that's one thing a lot of young entertainers, I think, forget. You're going to evolve.
Yeah.
You're going to evolve, and great things are going to come along to, to inspire you. You're going to finally figure out something that is just magical, and it's just going to evolve. It just does. Vent does that. But what happened with me was, first of all, getting a good figure in 1971, they were expensive. And I remember the Fred Mayer catalog #2. They were, Clinton and Adelia had bought the company by then.
Okay.
We became great friends. They came to my wedding, actually. I love those folks. I miss them. But back then, a good figure cost $250. My mother had given me money to buy a really good Gretsch guitar and a combo organ and an amp, which was like, $800. So I just didn't even think about asking her $250 for a vent figure. So what happened was I called every antique store and toy store in Minneapolis, St. Paul, every one in the yellow pages. One of them had a Pelham vent figure. You know what those are?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Rhonda started with one.
Comes through, and the figure can have a hand, right?
Yep.
But the hand's on the stick. And that's what I
right.
needed. And that was, so I got that. $15 at Clancy's Toy Store. And it was good enough to be able to do shows. And, so I just, joke books, I found jokes. I did the old joke. I remember the first joke what I did is I did a combination of magic and vent because I didn't have enough material as a vent. Right? So like the figure and I would do, we would do the dove pan. And the trick, and the dummy, his hand, was working. Well, he'd pour the flour in the dove pan and then throw the flour in my face, right? We crack an egg, put it in there, and then throw the egg at my face, Right. Situation comedy. Then I light the thing on fire, boom, then a bird came out, and the figure would say, great, now we can eat them, stuff like that, So it was a combination. And then I play the piano, right? So I play the piano, and what I would do early on, and I still do it. Right now I have a piano bench that a vent figure fits inside. And I go to the piano and I play some real fast jazz stuff. About a little over a minute, just wailing, right? And then you hear, you hear the distant voice, open up the bench, I pull the dummy out of the bench. First thing he says is, what you doing? I'm playing the piano. Sound like my sister. Is she the piano player? Is she the piano? Oh, she's the piano. I did that years ago, but I had the figure, the Pelham figure, under a cloth on the upstage side of the piano. So I always would have the dummy interrupt me playing the piano, and then he'd give me a hard time. I mean, a silly joke like, "Did you know it takes 75 elephants to make the keys for that piano?" No, but man, how they get them big brutes to do such delicate work, I'll never know. That's a Maury Amsterdam joke. I used that joke when I was a kid, and it got that. So I did that combination of, but I didn't really understand dramatic structure. did.
But I'm sure that, you know, even copying those jokes and performing them so many times kind of allowed that structure to seep in, you know, for future writing.
Yes. And boy, that's when I'll tell you how it kicked in.
Yeah.
Through junior high, I was doing my act, you know, and, I just like senior citizen luncheon banquets, just weird things, stuff that, anyways, but I started working on a school assembly act.
Mm-hmm.
And I got that, and I read a lot of books from magicians who played school shows. And then I started figuring that whole thing out, Okay, all right. Audience control, appropriate material for the right age and all that.
Yeah.
You start, you kind of figure it out. And then time, audience control is the first thing, and with it. Well, what happened was this woman saw me. I was at the Minnesota State Fair when I was in 9th grade, and I won 2nd place at the fair, the contest thing, right? Yeah. And she saw me, and she worked for the Minneapolis Public Schools. She convinced my high school, my principal, my counselor, that I should be on the work program as an entertainer. See, back in those days, if you knew, if you didn't want to go to college, but you had you were a auto mechanic, or you were a hairstylist, or a carpenter, a plumber's apprentice, if you had a career-minded thing, you could get on the work program and only have to go to school 3 hours a day, from 7:30 to 10:30. Then you go to your job, right?
Right.
Your job. Well, she scored this thing for me, because not only was I doing my act, I was also in a rock band with a bunch of hippies playing rock and roll music.
Really? Wow. Okay.
These guys were like 21 and 22, and I was 15. But I could sing. I could sing really high, and I was a good keyboard player and a guitar player. And rock. This was 1974, and rock and roll was still novel then. It was still special. I mean, a live rock band rocking was still a really special event. Yeah. Okay. So what happened was, this was my life, right? I'd have to be at school at 7:30. I'd get out at 10:30, and I would go play school shows almost every day as a volunteer. Now, this was right after the Vietnam War, so everybody was having kids. And schools, every school I would go to in the Minneapolis, St. Paul area, you had to do 3 assemblies at every school. You had to, because there were so many kids there. There were like 600 kids in the school, right?
Yeah.
And that's just the way it was. So what happened is this little old man would pick me up at 10:30, the driver guy. I kept the figure in a suitcase in my locker, but I kept the rest of the act in his car. And so he picked me up, and then we'd go to a school, and I'd do 3 shows. And then after that, he would drop me off at the band house where all these hippie guys lived, and I'd practice with the band, and the guys in the band give me a ride home at night. That was my life. And then there were some weeks where the band was on the road, so I didn't have to do school shows, but we were on the road playing clubs. So my mother told the leader of the band, Todd can be in your band, but if he gets in trouble, you're going to be in trouble. Don't let him get into trouble, because we were playing nightclubs. I was 15. Right. I was underage, but I never got in trouble.
Did you ever feel like you had to choose between one over the other?
Yeah.
In a band, or okay, what was that point like? When you had to decide.
Well, at the time, I loved both. I loved both of it. I loved both. I really did. But rock and roll was a great way to meet girls. Right?
Right.
The dummy creeped them out. At the time. The time. Well, probably because I wasn't a very good vent. Maybe that's why the dummy creeped them out. I mean, I could do, I could talk about moving in my mouth, and I had that pinched voice. Oh yeah, I did all that,
Yeah.
But at the time, it was a different world then too,
I don't think it works today either, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but I loved both. I loved both of it. But what happened was at the end of my senior year, the band I was in got an offer to tour with Tommy James and the Shondells as a guest opening act. So what happened was I just quit doing my act, and I went full time into rock and roll, and I did that for 5 years. And then what happened was when I was 24, the music changed. It got real electronic and real. It wasn't rock and roll anymore. It was kind of an electronic dance type disco thing, and that was it. I didn't like it, and the record and the band I was in, hard to keep a band together.
Yeah,
and we were broke. We had nothing, and I was living in a rooming house, broke. That dummy started looking pretty good.
And did you still toy with it, every now and then, or was it just off in its case in the corner? I mean,
I hadn't seen him. I didn't see him for 5 years.
Wow.
Oh, rock and roll, the world.
Yeah.
The world we were recording. We had I wrote a song called "Merry Goes Round" that made a little noise, and it was. That's just the way it was. But what happened was, band broke up. I was broke. I went for a walk one night. I stopped at the library, and I went in, and I went right to 793.6. I know God just led me right there, and there they were. There were, Fun with Ventriloquism, Alexander Van Resler, Fun and Profit, Paul Winchell, all the old books, and I just checked them all out. I went home. The little Andrew, the Pelham figure, was over at my mother's. So I went and got it, and I just started working at it. And I got a gig playing piano in the lobby of a real swanky hotel, right?
Okay.
7 days a week in the tuxedo playing piano. Real drag. Drag. But I started practicing the vent. Called Clinton, called Adelia. They sent me a bunch of school talk for dummies and stuff. I told him, and he, and then this was before the internet, and I wrote to a bunch of figure makers, and I met Foy Brown in Lawrence, Kansas, and his brother Doc Brown. Foy Brown made figures; he's long gone, His brother Doc Brown was living in Sioux Falls. I met him.
Okay.
And I just started reading all the books, practicing, and then I wrote all those figure makers, and John Arvidas, Conrad Hartz, the guy from Florida, the real heavy figures. Oh, what was his name? I forget. Well, anyway. Finest Robinson.
Yes.
Robinson. And he was very charming on the phone. And I almost pulled the trigger on one of those figures. But then my good, dear friend, Mark Wade, said, Todd, I hadn't known Mark very long. I just called Mark up one day, and we became instantly, School Assembly Act.
Yeah.
So we had a lot to talk about. Well, Mark said, Todd, I think you should call Conrad Hartz. I think you'd like Conrad Hartz figures. I called Conrad. Conrad sent me a Polaroid of figures he was finishing. There was one right there, and I went, that's the one. Because in my mind, I had created Joey Clark, my new character. In my mind, I did the thing where I wrote like a 4-page biography on his character, right? And I knew in my mind, blonde hair.
I have to pause you here, Todd, because this is important. Is this how you create all your characters? Where you create them and then you have them made, or you find the puppet to fit them?
Well, the first one was what I just told you. In my mind, Joey, my first professional figure, 1982. In my mind, it was a blonde-haired, big blue-eyed kid. Yeah. I'm brunette, brown eyes. I wanted something different, right? And a lot of guys had used red-haired figures, so nobody really had any blonde-haired, So I thought Joey, blonde-haired, blue-eyed, Joey Clark. That was the name I came up with. And so that's what I did. With Pops, which was made by Conrad. Conrad had made Pops, and he called me. He said, I've got a figure you might like. And he sent me the picture. And I went, oh, my God, that's it. I love him. And we used to, in the band days, when we'd arrive at a gig, there would always be like an old custodian that would give the band a hard time. We used to always call him Pops. Hey, Pops. Hey, Pop. Look out. Hey, Pops is pissed off at the band, whatever,
Right.
That was like a nickname we had. Well, Conrad showed me that picture, that figure, and that was it. And then the voice, came right away, which is similar to the dog's voice, similar, but not exactly. And then Lily, I went to see Jim Barber, and I drove down to Jim, because Jim lived in St. Paul. I lived in Minneapolis. Jim was going to, finishing up school, and he had a children's television program that he graciously invited me to be on. And so Jim and I drove down to Lawrence, because Diane at the time was going to school down there, and I met Foy Brown, and I stayed at Foy's house. And I woke up one morning, and the living room was full of vent figures, like on every couch and sofa. And Foy was like, he had to be at least 78 years old, and his wife Grace, they became like surrogate grandparents almost. I used to stay with them a lot when I was on the road. Boy, she made great fried chicken, and the living room was always full of figures. Well, I bought a country boy from him named Norman, who was very funny-looking little character with an overbite. I got him after Joey, and I used him for a while, but I don't know. When Pops came, Pops just had more of a powerful punch, I mean, that old man, ready to go, I'm ready to go, ready to go, I'm ready to go. I mean, he was a mean, crazy maniac. They still is. I still use him in the show. He is he looks like he was dragged behind a truck and enjoyed it, and so I that's how I got those figures, and
But you had these characters in mind, while the character was marinating before you got the puppet, or it just kind of clicked when you got it, or how does that?
It clicked when I saw it. It clicked when I saw it.
Yeah.
When I saw Pops, I just knew. Oh, that's that old custodian that used to give us a hard time all the time,
Yeah.
With an old mean, decrepit kind of creep,
Wow.
No, we used to, and when I was a kid going downtown Minneapolis, you'd see, bums walking around and all, trying to hustle you for a dollar or 50 cents, So I used to see guys like that all the time, in the city. And with Lily, I just saw that head, that face. Oh my God. She's cross-eyed, got buck teeth.
Yeah.
She reminded me of some of the women my mother used to work with at the phone company. She looked like a telephone operator that, and but she's she's got this face. I mean, she's just bizarre looking, I do a joke, and she's trying to hustle Pops. Come on, honey. Come on. And then Pops is not into it, Come on, honey. Look at my eyes, dear. Look at my eyes. Now say something romantic. And he says, I think there's something in your right eye. How come? Your left one keeps looking at it. Killer.
Yeah.
Every show I do that joke. So
you have two characters at once, or is this one from the cave?
I have two at once. Yeah, I start out with Pops. I designed a vent table, so inside the table, suitcases on top with a figure. In the table, I have a shelf that goes halfway across, so a figure can lay on that shelf with the legs dangling down. So you can grab the stick and in one move go, shoot, and that figure's on your.
That's great.
Yeah, I figured that out a long time ago, because I wanted to be able to get the figure out without taking. I work on a stool. I've always said.
Yeah, you don't want it to be clunky when you're.
I want to be clunky, and all those years in production shows, there's no time to goof around. You come out there, you got to hit it, bam, 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 bam. There's no, So when that figure, that's how I did it. I just grabbed that figure, and I don't want that. I don't like that figure dangling around like it's a dead person. I don't like that.
Yeah.
The figure must be manipulated, and the whole manipulation thing, very important. Respect the character, and the audience. So I grabbed that stick and I swing her out so fast, it almost looked like she's just kind of jumping out of the table and jumping on my neck.
Wow, that is great. That's super neat. I've always admired. I love. I mean, a good vent with a puppet is one thing, but then adding a second puppet when you got two of them, and wow, it's that's a challenge in itself, and fun when you finally all clicks. That's really great.
And you've got to go through the process, you know.
Right. Yeah.
You can't be impatient, you know, about these things. Sometimes it'll come along. George Schindler, Magic with Your Voice. George was a very big help. I was working in 1984 at the Peacock Room in Cambria, California, in a dinner show, review show, production show.
Yeah.
And I didn't have I had a little bit of material, not a whole lot, you know. But George told me, he said, Todd, the best material for an event is what you'll create on stage in an ad lib, and you'll keep it in your act. And I think there's a lot of truth to that, you know.
Sure.
When people see me that know me, they always go, went outside, came back in, went outside, came back in. That's the thing the dog does, right? Well, that happened on stage like the 5th time he was on stage at the Showboat in Nashville. You know? So I've got a lot of stuff in my act, a lot of lines that came from, you know, I was very, very blessed. Oh, there's another thing too. When I got back in event, you know, when I was like 23, I took lessons from a brilliant ventriloquist named Mark Johnson from Minneapolis. This guy, man, I saw him work, and that figure said, one of the lines was, I guess you could say he came back in a snap. Ventriloquially, unbelievably good, man. Really.
Wow.
Really good. And the figure's name was Rusty Hinges. And Rusty would laugh. When Rusty laughs, his eyebrows go up at the same time. When he kind of looks down on his... Mark married the voice and the face and the mannerisms together, where that figure, personality and character is powerful, man. Really powerful. And when you do that, when you can get that face, that voice, and the mannerisms, and then, of course, the material, but still, you know, the figure... Fred Mayer said something in his catalogs. I'll never forget it. He said the figure has to have a pixie-like charm. Right on, man. Right on. That is it. And they have to be endearing. They have to be endearing. Sometimes I think a figure is too big. They're ghoulish. That little pixie-like charm. Now, you know, they can be a little devil too, you know. But they can... But they should retain that charm. That innocence. You know,
just because a character's mean doesn't mean it doesn't have a nice side to it.
Right.
You know
right. Yeah. Joey, every now and then, he'll when he's mouthing, you know, a lot of what Joey does, he works the crowd right off the bat. You know, the way I, with the figure, my old act, what I did, I had an opening line, and then this is the act I did for many years. Opening line, 3 impressions, work the audience. That's how my act started.
Okay.
The opening line was a joke I wrote in Nassau, Bahamas, with Michael Madden, a magician, and a donut shop. And this is the first joke I ever wrote. Okay.
Ventriloquist and a magician in a donut shop. I love that.
This is the first joke I ever wrote.
Okay.
So, like I say, Willie Tyler, God love him. Cool. I always said Edgar Bergen made ventriloquism classy and Willie made it cool. It's the truth, man.
That is very truthful. I love that.
Well, anyways, so a lot of Willie Tyler influence. So I used to open my act with a song. Short version. Short. That's the thing. All you vents out there, you open with a song, short. 1 minute. 1 minute, 10 seconds most. They want to see that dummy be funny. They don't, you know, okay, you're a singing event. I know Terry and the little girl, Darcy, a lot of great singing events. Hey, great.
Yeah.
Willie Tyler, great singer. Lester, great singer. I get that. But for an act, for a comedy act, I learned from the days of production shows and occasional cruise ship, fair date, whatever. The song will get you on a stage with the figure. The song gets you out there. The audience can eyeball your lips for about a minute to make sure you're doing okay, right?
Right.
So I used to do a 1-10-second version of the song "Stand By Me" with an up tempo. When the night, and then at the end near the end, the dummy Joey would just go, yeah. Hold out, bam, the song ends, right?
Uh-huh.
The song ends. As soon as the song ends, Joey would be through the song. He'd be eyeballing some broad in the front row, and right off the bat, Joey. This was the first joke I ever wrote. Joey would say, "Oh, there she is. She's looking at me. She's looking at me. She's looking at me. Todd, look at her. She's looking at me, man. She's falling in love. I'm falling in love. She's looking at me. She's looking at me. She's looking at me." Yeah, she's with a guy. That's okay. He's looking at you. That gag killed every night.
Yeah.
That was a killer line. It never failed. And believe it or not, we got away with it in high schools.
Really?
Why? The dummy can get away with it.
Wow.
It doesn't come off like, a gay. It's so fast. Right. It doesn't come off like a gay thing. That's the implication from the figure. Right. But he's just a little dummy. He doesn't know what he's saying, right?
Yeah.
He's a loose cannon.
Right.
And then Joe and I said, "No, why you say that?" And he'd say, "Because your lips are moving." Bam! Second punch, right? Second punch right off the bat.
Right.
You want me to? All right, listen. Hey, can I do my new act? I do impressions. I can do riding on the tilt-a-whirl at Disneyland. Introduce me. Boom. Ladies and gentlemen, Joy Clark's impression of riding on the tilt-a-whirl at Disneyland. Spins his head around then he bends over like he's thrown up. Okay? Second, killer. I still do it.
Yeah.
It never fails. I've done that thing. I wrote that thing 40 years ago, maybe, right?
But what's so interesting, and I want you to talk a little bit about this, because working with a puppet for a long time is one thing, but then having a material that's lasted so long that still kills today. It's kind of almost like looking at that same puppet that you've worked with, but picking up that material and going, okay, we're gonna do this today, and you're like, yeah, I know it's tried and true, and it's that must be just so neat to.
Well, it gets down to this, good jokes don't make it. Only great jokes make it. You don't want a good laugh. You want a great laugh.
Right.
And in review shows, that's where I learned. 2 shows a night, 6 nights a week for 21 years. That's where I learned. Because you follow singer dancers that have been singing and dancing the audience has been sitting for 25 minutes looking at dancers or singers, and maybe an adagio act or maybe another specialty act up front. So when you come out, they're ready to laugh.
Yeah.
But if you don't go out there and go, "Hey, how's everybody doing tonight?" Huh? You don't work like a comedy club. No, you don't wait. You don't kind of get into your thing. No.
Right.
You get to the laugh. You want that laugh right off the bat. The energy. You gotta know what you're doing. You gotta nail it. That's where that opening line, that opening thing.
Yeah.
High energy. And think about this now. Analyze this, right?
Mm.
First thing that figure does, works the crowd. Yeah. First thing he does. It's not, "Hey, did you hear the one about?" No. First thing, that figure is nailing the crowd right off the bat. Okay, but I think I interrupted your thing here. Well, what did you? Sorry.
I have another question. So, Irving, when did that enter the mix?
Sure. So here's what happened. I was on that showboat in Nashville for 7 years.
Sure.
The second year I was there, I signed a recording contract for children's music with a songwriter, publisher company, record company. And we still have the deal. We recorded 4 albums for children called the Positively Positive Day Play. Now I'll get to it here. When I was on that showboat in Nashville, it was 7 nights a week from March until New Year's Eve. From March 1st till New Year's Eve was 7 nights a week, right? Dinner show, orchestra in the orchestra pit. It was grand show business, man. This was every variety act's dream. I mean, it's a beautiful, grandiose showroom, orchestra pit in front of the stage. I went on a sweet spot after all that sing and dance and stuff. It was a killer. 10-piece orchestra, timpani drum. Now, this was show business, man. Real show business. And really great musicians and great singers. It was a great. Well, anyways, through a friend, this songwriter, record producer saw me, Dennis Morgan. He had written hits like Smoky Mountain Rain, all that. I Knew You Were Waiting for Me, Aretha Franklin, George Michael. He'd written a lot of hits for a lot of people. Well, he saw me do my school show. Because when I was doing that showboat 7 nights a week, I was doing I was hustling school shows during the day. Working 7 nights a week, you think that'd be enough, and then maybe go to the pool during the day?
Not to mention the difference in material and in crowds and
my days. Pardon me?
Did you have the same characters for both shows, or did you have some?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Absolutely, yeah. Didn't have the dog. But this was my life in Nashville, all right?
Right.
I'd get up at about 5 a.m, 3 days a week, get my shower, fill my thermos, be driving to a school somewhere. I developed 100 school accounts on my own just by calling schools. At the time, can't do this anymore. They hang up on you. At the time, well, maybe they don't hang up on you, but at the time, you could call and book a school show. Hi, this is Todd Oliver from Opryland. Boom, that got their attention. Opryland was a big, respectful entertainment organization. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, we have a school assembly program we'd like to bring to your school. And they'd buy them. They'd book it, know. So I would go out and I'd do my school shows during the day, I think I made $300 a show.
Yeah.
Right? Try to book 2 of them in the same area, get one country principal to call his buddy at another school, and so I go out and make $600 during the day. Then I get home about 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock in the afternoon, get my second shower, get in the van, drive to the showboat, do the review show on the showboat. Now, when I wasn't that, but then this guy saw me do my school show, and him and Dennis Morgan, brilliant Grammy Award-winning songwriter, publisher, producer.
Yeah.
Him and his wife, they didn't have children, but he started a record company with children's music, and him and all these cool people wrote songs for me and the Figures. And we recorded all these songs, and a lot of interesting people, a lot of cool people. We did Shel Silverstein.
Really?
Yeah, Dick Wagner from Alice Cooper. Roy Orbison. All these cool people were into. There's a ventriloquist making a children's album. Because in Nashville, that was like, doing acid on Mars.
Right. Yeah.
So anyway, I made these albums, and then I'd go out and I'd hustle them during the day at the schools and sell them. Try to push them on children's radio, which was a real drag. Because when the artist is hustling his own thing, sometimes they don't respect you a whole lot, Record label was a small record label. They couldn't do that much. And but I loved the music, and all the songs had a really good message without it being like preachy. I always had a message in my act, but it wasn't like a church preachy thing. It was like, use your time wisely. Use your time wisely. We wouldn't say it this way. Use your time wisely. Turn a talent into a skill that'll take care of you when you grow up. That was the main thing. Okay, so you're barely passing biology. You don't get geometry. Well, you have a talent. There's something really good you can do, boys and girls. You got to find out what that is and turn that into a skill that'll take care of you when you grow up.
Right.
Okay, so you're not going to cure cancer. Okay. You're going to do something else that's just really cool too, though, That was my whole deal with school shows. And remember, by this time, I had done thousands of school shows. Because before the production shows in Nashville, I did those school assembly tours where I did 500 schools a year. 4 schools a day, 5 days a week, 9 months a year. For years.
Wow.
Yeah. And then fairs in the summer, which were usually a drag. Hot. The merry-go-rounds making so much noise they can't hear you do your act. It could be a real,
Right.
Anyways, so I'm in Nashville. I've done okay. Oh, so how did the dog come along? Here's what happened. I'd done all the TV shows on TNN. Back then, it was the Nashville Network. Jim did it. Barber, Jeff Dunham did a bunch of those too. I think Willie did them. Bill Boley did a couple of them. Bill lived up the road, just about an hour and a half away, and Bill and Charlene, we used to spend great times together. Oh man, we would laugh. Bill would have these get-togethers in July, and we would just laugh. Bill and I would trade war stories, road stories. We would just we would just laugh until we couldn't breathe, talking about experiences of, like, I've got some if you want to hear some.
Then we have a question about that later.
Yeah, but anyway, okay, so here's what happened. I done all the TV shows at TNN. Right? Okay. Well, I done them all twice. Nashville Now, Crook and Chase, Music City Tonight, CMT Top 12 Countdown. That was bizarre.
Wow. Yeah, I bet.
whatever. Who knows? But they had me and Joey introducing a video or something. Okay, so I went to try to book myself back in, and I didn't have an agent at the time. I didn't have an agent because I didn't need one. I had the house gig on the showboat, and I was booking my own school shows. Right. I didn't need an agent, and I had an agent, but he wasn't doing much, and I kind of gave him the boot,
Right.
Yeah. So I went over to TNN to book myself back on a show, and Bill Turner, who was in charge of entertainment, the nicest human being in television ever. He always had his door open. Well, hey, Todd, come on in. He'd reach in his fridge, give me a Coke. What are you doing over there? How's that showboat doing? Fine. What can I do you for, Todd? Well, Bill, I'd like to get back. Can I get another date? Another TV date? Well, Todd, we've already had you twice. I said, well, I've got new material. See, I remember by this time I only had Joey and Pops, so they'd seen the two. Lily hadn't been developed yet.
Okay.
So, well, Todd, we've already seen those puppets. What else you got? Well, I got new material. Yeah. Well, Todd, everybody's got new material. What else you got besides the dummies? And I said, well, I've got this idea. And I said, well, I'm thinking about making my dog talk. And Bill said, well, now there you go, boy. A little dog puppet. I said, no, a real dog. He went, that's great, Todd. You got to do it. And then I said, well, some people told me the animal rights people. And he said, don't worry about that. In show business, you're going to always have people trying to freak you out to not do something. Right. Just do it, man. Do it. And then my friend, great magician, Maverick from Phoenix, and Jonathan Neal Brown, another magician from Los Angeles, and they're both great magicians. They helped me. They put me in touch with a magic guy, a magic builder. And then that guy put me in touch with a guy in Van Nuys, California. And then what happened was I got a puppy. And then I was so busy, I hired a dog trainer to hold the puppy for a month and get him started. The dog trainer took the puppy and wouldn't give him back because his wife fell in love with the puppy. And he wouldn't give the puppy back, and he wouldn't give me my money back. He ripped me off. Right?
Wow.
Yeah, he was a real creep. Really a loser. So I had to get another puppy. This time, puppy's staying with me.
Right.
And I raised him. That was the original Irving, Boston Terrier. And I went to California, and I flew out there. Oh, and my veterinarian, wrote a thing saying this isn't going to hurt the dog at all. So I always carried that with me.
Oh, that's cool.
He wrote that out like this is fine. Blah, 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 blah.
How did you decide that you wanted because it's kind of like choosing like the way a puppet should look. Like, how did you decide what breed of, that
good question. Very good question. You're absolutely right. I'm glad you brought that up. I knew I didn't want no cute little dog. I didn't want no cutie little Cocker Spaniel. I didn't want nothing cute.
Right.
something that looked like, originally it was a basset hound I thought about getting, which I ended up getting as an extra one down the road. But originally I looked at a basset hound. They were too big. Couldn't travel.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah, and when a puppet is so big, for me, it doesn't work. It's too big for my deal. Okay.
Sure.
So then I looked at a bulldog, and they've got other issues. I looked at a pug, and they were too small. My brother said, "Todd, check out a Boston Terrier." I did, and bam, that was it. That mouth is on upside down. Boston Terrier, bulging eyes, mouth on upside down. Looks like he chased a bus and caught it. And perfect size, 12, 15 pounds, right? Yeah. So that was my brother, Scotty, was the one that told me to do that. And he worked out great, yeah. And I went to Van Nuys. We got the gizmo. What happened was, at the time, we gave the dog, the designer came to Nashville. Went to the vet office. We gave Irving a little knockout gas. We made a mold of his face on both sides, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
This is like
right.
production level, like makeup.
Oh, wow. and it wasn't cheap. And cats in California, they don't work cheap. They don't they don't goof around. You better keep an eye on things, You better know what you're doing. And I think we did, So we made that mold, and then he went back to Van Nuys and made the prop.
Right.
The original one worked on a servo motor. You had to charge this little motor. Well, the only problem is those motors at the time were like light bulbs. They go out, and you don't know when they're going to go out. Right. And let me tell you something. When you take a talking dog on stage and the mouth don't work, you better be ready to work, baby. You better know. Yeah. You better. And it happened. We got to Vegas to do a TV date. Penn and Teller, Sin City Spectacular, Sin City Sensation, whatever. It was 1997. The morning of the gig, the wiring went bad on the unit. And Andy from Van Nuys had to fly up to Vegas and with his toolbox, took the red eye from LA, showed up. He hadn't slept all night. Well, he took the whole thing and fixed it. And we made it the day of the TV show, man.
So I'm so curious though, like, what do you do now if you have to? Do you actually have like a dog puppet in case something happens to the dog, or do you have a backup dog? Like, how does that work, and how do you fly?
I have a backup. I've always most of the years I've had a backup dog. For a little bit, every now and then, I didn't have a backup Irving, but most of the times I have. That prop has evolved over the years. So if you look at our appearances on those cameos we did on Tonight Show or David Letterman Vent Week, that mask I don't use that anymore. That thing was more like this, where the new one is only under here. See?
Right.
But it took 3 engineers and a whole bunch of money. Because the servo motor, I don't use that anymore. It's a mechanical thing. But every part, the people who design, the guy that made the new current ones I'm using, does specialty work for NASA, up in space. These cats don't come cheap.
Yeah,
they don't. And I have 4 of them. And they have to be repaired from time to time, because right now I'm doing 5 shows a week.
Okay.
Most of my life I've done at least 5 shows a week. Sometimes it was 12 shows a week. Sometimes it was, 4 shows a day, 5 days a week, on the school show. Well, that was a long time. So you got to have, this has to work. And that's one thing I love about Conrad Harts. Those figures work.
Yeah, very dependable.
They've never failed me. They've never failed me. And they work, and they're great, and I love them. I love Conrad. And a lot of good figure makers out there. I'm just telling you, Conrad and I loved his work ever since I was, in my early 20s. But so the dog gizmo just evolved. Right.
So I'm curious, do you ever have, has anyone ever knocked off that idea, or how do you protect that idea? Because spending so much money and time and effort into something like this, is like.
Here's the deal. There was a guy in Vegas that had a talking dog.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He had a basset hound. And I worked with a juggling act that knew him. And they said, Doc, we worked with the guy that had the hush puppy, but he didn't really have much material. You should do a talking dog. This juggling act I worked with production shows years ago.
Uh-huh.
Well, this guy had a flapper on his dog. And the first time I did a national TV show from Vegas, he wrote me the nastiest email. And then when I did one of those TV shows, maybe America's Got Talent, he went on and called me a bloody copyist and all this. It was all garbage. It was all lies. I never saw his act. I didn't want to see his act. I create my own thing. But this creep, this Vegas creep, just bashed me up and down. Whenever I do a TV show, some kook, sometimes they actually had. There was a lady who thought I was squeezing the dog's privates to make him move his mouth.
Were you?
It was your sister. No. No. It was your girlfriend. No. No, But I mean, I get that.
That's why his eyes are bulged out.
Yeah, that's why his eyes bulged out. But no, you can't really. You can't. Someone said, "Oh, Todd, you got to patent that thing." No, I'm
the best performer with it, and then you don't have to worry about
and that's the other thing. When I started doing the talking, when I first got it started, my friend Maverick, I procrastinated doing it originally because I was so busy. I was recording those kid albums, production shows, school shows. So busy. But Maverick finally said, "Todd, you better do it because if you don't, someone else is going to do it."
Yeah.
And I didn't know about that guy in Vegas. And there's been a few guys in Europe that have had a talking dog that do a nice act, I'm told. I haven't seen their work. There's a guy named Mark Luttrell, and I saw a little bit of a clip on Britain's Got Talent. He was great. Little white dog, really cute. And he was great. Great ventriloquist. I've never seen his act, but but no, I tell you what, I've got so much for that thing to work. It's got to be smooth. It's got to look good. It's taken a long journey to get it to where it is now. Yeah. I mean, the one on the Letterman, back in the Letterman days and the Tonight shows and all that, that gizmo was okay, but it wasn't as camera friendly as the one I have now, right? And it's taken a lot of work and a lot of money, and there's always someone who's going to try to steal your stuff. But my good friend Stanley Burns, Stanley one night in a restaurant in New York City said, "Todd, they can steal your stuff, but they can't steal you."
I love that.
And that's where it's at. Now listen, you lift a gag here, you lift a gag there, okay. Sure. Remember Bob Trank used to say, "Never forget who you steal from." But I would borrow stock material. Hey man, man, you're ugly. You apologize. I'm sorry. That's better. That you're so ugly. Every event's done that joke, right? I mean, you like girls I gather. No, I like girls I gather. I've seen the ones you gather. I mean, we all did them.
Right. Yeah.
We all did them. But I have enough of, most 98% of what I do now, it's all my stuff. Yeah. I tried using some writers. I had an agent in LA who sent me to a writer, and he wanted $1,000 a finished minute. Right? Okay, it's LA. $1,000 a finished minute. I gave him $3,000 down payment. He sent me stock jokes out of a dog joke book. And he was like a big time writer. And I got my money back. I said, I remember these jokes when, my daughter was reading a pet book on jokes, a pet joke book. I guess you and my daughter read the same books, huh? Yeah, give me my money back, Pelly. And he did. You know, but you meet all kinds. But most of it, you know, I would take a joke and I'd switch it. You know, I take a joke and switch it. You know, everybody uses some stock material in times in their career, and everybody will maybe borrow something, change it, and switch it and make it work for them. Okay, hey man, nobody's dying, nobody's going to jail.
Yeah, you know, I'm curious because you know you hear all these horror stories about traveling, you know, through the TSA with your puppets. Do you travel? I assume you travel and do gigs all around the world with Irving. Do you? And
I used to fly all the time. I don't anymore. When I did fly, the dog always, well, for TV dates, I still fly. Dog goes in a carry-on bag underneath the seat in front of me.
Okay.
Or now you can have one of those, did you know who, the Red Skelton impersonator, great, Tom Mullica. Did you know Tom? He's passed away. Did you know Tom Mullica?
No, the name sounds familiar.
He did a Red Skelton act. Brilliant magician. Tom, brilliant guy. Tomfoolery at his own club in Atlanta. Well, Tom one day said to me in Branson, like in 2012, Todd, what are you doing, man? Get one of those service dog cars. It's a scam. You pay the $25 to get the card. They can't even ask you. The dog can go on the airplane. They don't charge you. It's a scam, Todd. Just get it. I got it.
Oh, really? Wow.
Card. And the dog can go on the airplane with me, right? Yeah. I mean, I don't know how long this thing's going to go, you know. But I used to have to pay like $75 in the dog per trip for the dog. And he'd go under the seat in front of me. I carry the heads, the 3 heads, and the dog gizmo, the flapper. I carry that in a duffel bag that would go in this overhead compartment. You know, and then I'd also carry the show computer because all my video and music runs off of a small PC with a program called Media Star. That's the system I use. So that stuff always is with me. The bodies go in the vent bodies, and my wardrobe and stuff would go underneath in the baggage, you know. But now I'm touring my own show, which is called The Funniest Night of Your Life, and it's 90 minutes. I'm doing 90 minutes, and I drive it because I have to, because I carry all kinds of props and, you know, my piano bench. I have these stage screens. I got a bird cage. I've got, you know, I use a live bunny. What I did is I was touring performing arts centers and community concert series, and they'd have opening acts, and the opening acts I had a lot of trouble with them. They either were dirty or they were they just were creepy or something, you know. Like so what I did is I was in Lakeland, Florida at the Performing Arts Center. Opening act, I don't know what he did, but we had 2 shows, matinee, night show, 2 shows. I don't know what he said, but the matinee date, there were 8 rows of Girl Scouts and their mothers, the troop mothers, whatever, you know. They got up and walked out.
Man.
So I walk on, and there's 8 rows of empty. I got a moat between me and the audience. I want to be on top of that front row.
Yeah.
Because the dog and the figures work the audience. Well, how do you work, you know? That was it. I was furious, and I told the promoters, oh, don't worry, I talked, the next show won't be so bad. I said, he's not doing the next show unless you want him to do it by himself. Yeah. So you fire that bummer. I'm not going to do the second. It's the only time I got kind of uppity about the stuff. Yeah. But man, I don't know, you know, I don't know how. Well, I better be careful. I just don't know, when there's little children in the audience, man, I don't know how you can be that way, talk that way. Little children faces looking up at you when you're cut loose with hey man, I'm 61 years old. These are my opinions. That's just the way it is. I'm not telling anybody else how to do that, but if they're going to be in my show, they're not going to do that.
Right.
What I did is I said to my wife, I said, you know, I'm going to do a 15-minute magic turn. I haven't done it since the 1970s, but I'm going to do a 15-minute magic turn. So what I did is I didn't want to do anything that anybody other magicians are doing. I got these little birds. So I a couple little fast thing, couple candles vanish, boom, there's a bird, you know. Hey, what do you know? Do you talk? No, I tweet. So I do a little vent with the bird. It's a live bird, right? He doesn't move his mouth, but they're fast lines. So nobody, it doesn't matter. It's a quickie, you know. Oh, you don't talk? No, I tweet. Okay, I'll put him in the cage, you know. Then boom, then get a kid on stage, you're gonna make a birthday cake, out comes a bunny, right? So it's a departure. It's not even 50, it's more like, you know, 13 minutes or so. So what happens is we made a film in New York about me as a kid. It's a 5-minute film. Kid wanted to be a ventriloquist. His mother wanted him to practice the piano. Looks like a black and white Leave It to Beaver. We hired these great actors and the producer. We make this film, and then, there's a music video of a song I wrote called Funny Dog, with crazy funny dog video. Then my little black and white film thing. And then 30 years later, and there's different people introducing me. And then I walk out with the dog. And the dog and I do 20 minutes right off the bat. Bam, 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 20 minutes. Yeah. Then I do the 12, 13-minute magic turn. Mm-hmm. And I go to the piano, play a little bit, about a minute and a half, pull the figure, Joey, out of the piano bench. Now the figures. Joey, Pops, and Lily, song. Then the dog, and then blackout, put the dummies away. Mm-hmm. Blackout, lights come up, the dog's walking out on stage. Put the dog up. The dog does audience questions, and we do the song I wrote called Man's Best Friend. Then I do the audience bit, and that's it, 90 minutes. So, but all of that equipment, here's the other thing. Wow. Playing community concerts, and I play small and medium-sized theaters. You know, that's my world these days. I mean, we play some thousands seaters, and we've done some 2,000 seaters. But, you know, I did television last year. I did Mike Huckabee last year. But I'm not on television as much as a lot of other comedians, you know. So that affects
what that experience was like.
Pardon me?
Can you talk about what Huckabee was like? Because that was
fabulous. Fabulous. Nice guy. What you see is what you get. Great audience. Great band.
And people can find that clip on YouTube. They just look up Todd Oliver.
Ventriloquist, the first one.
Yeah, it's great.
And I wrote that material just for that show.
Really? Wow.
Well, one of the jokes I had written a few months earlier. The joke where Joey says, not Joey, I mean the dog. But most of that was written for that show, except the joke where the dog says, yeah, I had a date with a chicken last night. We got there. She had a heart attack. Where'd you go? Chick-fil-A. Well, that's terrible. No, I didn't have to take her home. I got a free dinner. So I had written that joke like probably 6 months before that time.
Yeah.
But that was a wonderful, that and Letterman were my two favorite nights in television. Letterman doesn't get any better than that. Huckabee, it doesn't get any better than that. America's Got Talent was all right. It was okay, you know.
Yeah.
It wasn't my favorite, but I did it. I had turned down America's Got Talent 3 times. They had called me to do it, but I had turned it down because I didn't think it was a good move. I didn't think it was a good fit. Right. I was wrong. Mm-hmm. But I didn't think it was a good fit because I'd already done a couple cameos on Tonight Show and Letterman, Craig Ferguson. I did a couple Today shows, did a couple episodes of Walker, Texas Ranger.
Wow.
In the 90s.
Wow. Yeah.
In your state, in Dallas, with Chuck there, you know.
Okay. Yeah.
North. And then we did all those other TV specials, you know, Vegas TV specials.
Sure.
Whatever, a bunch of them. But I didn't think America's Got Talent was a good fit, and I was wrong. But what happened was, I was supposed to I had left the Showboat in Branson, and I was supposed to start at a theater, and a tornado tore the roof off the theater the night before the gig started. So all of a sudden, I'm out of work. And I had a manager at the time. I don't have a manager anymore. But I had a manager, and he said, you better do this show, man. They just called. You're the roof is gone at you're not doing anything. You better do this, Todd. It's primetime television. And then he said the magic word. He said, Todd, did you know that America's Got Talent gets more viewership than Leno and Letterman combined? Bingo.
Wow.
That's why you do television.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you do television.
Yeah.
So I did it. You know, I did it, and it all went great. You know,
Sure.
I knew Howie Mandel because I had done his TV show when he had hair. Back when he had his morning talk show, when he had hair, I did his show, and I knew Howie. We were acquainted because I did a show. In fact, I did two things that he played at another show. But you know, that was a, you know, it was all right. Howie Mandel made a comment. He said, well, the material, Todd. He said, the material. It's all about, he goes, you didn't make me laugh on that spot. And I almost said to him, yeah, well, the rest of the audience in the theater were laughing. The joke's over your head, stand up. You know, hey, man, these people work dirty in comedy clubs. If they don't think I'm funny, I don't care.
Well, exactly. And not to mention the fact that, you know, some performers, not saying that you're like this, but, you know, some comedians or even some ventriloquists, other actors, more like a slow burn where it builds. And cater to that.
Exactly. Very wise observation. But you know that, you know, I know what A material is, and I know what B material is, and we're human beings. And I remember on that show when they brought the second dog, I had Lucy, Irving's girlfriend, the Westie, the West Highland Terrier. She passed away. But when they brought her out, well, the leash, the stage kid that walked Lucy out, I showed him how to do it. Walk her out, get me that leash right away. There was no time to be fumbling around with the leash. Well, the kid got the thing caught underneath her. So I do my bit. Now remember that you're doing 3 minutes, right?
Yeah.
There's no time to goof around. I knew every single line I was gonna do. It's the only way you got to do it when you do television.
Right.
So the dog Irving's up there, blah 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 blah. Here comes Lucy. The ding dong stagehand had the leash all tangled up in her, so I had to mess around with that and get it. So I got out of the groove a little bit, and I pulled it back in. But still, I lost a little bit of the groove, and that's something people don't understand. Some people don't understand. But that was
you have to have. It's not like they could have just opened with them already on the stand, because part of the whole bit is the fact that they're walked on.
Landon, I'm glad you brought that up. Reason why I hardly ever do comedy clubs. They can't see the dog walk on stage. And the thing is, if they can't see the dog walk out, they think it's a dummy. They don't know it's a live dog.
Yeah.
Even to this day, when I'm playing, like the room I'm working now, we didn't know it was a live dog. I always wonder, what you saw him walk out on stage. What are you Helen Keller here? What's going on? You know? But you know, but that's why I one of the reasons I don't work comedy clubs is if they can't see the dog walk out, they don't know it's real, and I don't want the aggravation. You know?
Yeah. Wow. That's
But
looking at the comments here. Let's see. Dale Brown is here watching with.
Hi, Dale Brown.
Said I've never seen a Todd Oliver show I didn't like. And then to your comment earlier, Bob Rumba said, let's see if we can show this. Tom was a ventriloquist. Most people didn't know that. Oh, cool.
Tom who?
That was Bob. Help us out here. Tom who? He'll respond. He's here. But kind of moving on. What was your favorite show memory that you look back on, and maybe one of the most chaotic or gone wrong?
Well, I'll tell you what. The one that Letterman was spectacular. Doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah. In
my dressing room that night, Eddie Brill, the booker of that show, great guy. Eddie came into my room, my manager and everything. He said, Todd, go out and savor the moment. This is going to be the greatest night in television. The Ed Sullivan Theater, there's something magical about this place. It's the best gig in TV. And it was. There's something about, that's where all my heroes were. You know, I watched that show all the time when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I saw Jimmy Nelson on it. I saw Edgar Bergen. I saw, well, Ricky Lane in Belleville. He was a great friend of mine. I loved Ricky. Oh, he was funny. Oh my God, he was a funny man.
Mm-hmm.
But all those great vents, you know, there's so many great vents that worked on that show. So that thing was fabulous. And you know, okay, the other one that's a great memory was on a school tour in Nebraska. And I was at a school that was like half orphanage, half school. And a little girl came up on my school act. Joey does a thing. We get a kid out of the audience, and the little kid covers Joey's eyes, and he answers questions blindfolded.
Sure.
What am I holding up? Pencil. Amazing.
Yeah.
I'm holding it in the, you know, and then he does a mind reading thing. Silly, real silly, but it's the materials for K6.
Sure.
Well, this little girl was a little Native American girl, and she came up and she put her arms around that figure, and she kissed him, and she wouldn't let go.
Oh.
And she said, "I love you. I love you. I just love you. Please don't leave." And she wouldn't let go, man. And I lost it, you know. I mean, it's she was an orphan. I was 27 years old. I was a bachelor. Man, if I could have adopted that kid.
Yeah.
That was a. Here's a bizarre one. On that same tour, I was booked at an institution somewhere in the Dakotas.
Okay.
And the audience made more noise than my PA could. It was it was a loud room, right?
Right.
Well, here's the thing. After the show, I saw one of the staff smoking a joint. Strange.
Yeah.
Strange, you know, weird. The worst ones, I got booked at a dog show thing in Texas, by the way.
Oh, great.
It was raining out. It was outdoors. I didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
I knew I shouldn't have done it because I don't like working outdoors. I don't work outdoors anymore unless it's an outdoor review show in the evening, like Medora, you know.
Mm.
Well, I get there and it's cold and it's raining, and the creep who put on the dog thing in Houston said the show must go on. And the promoter, who I'm sure I had shoes older than, is saying, "Todd, you got to go out and do it. He said, you got to do 3 15-minute spots." They're paying me a lot of money, you know. I said, "It's raining outside." And the audience is sitting on straw bales with like raincoats, and they're getting rained on.
Oh, man.
And I put the dog up there, and the dog is shivering. All right? And I said, "No. Nope." What I did is I used a dog on the first 2, and then I used a figure on the third one. And they were the nastiest people I'd ever known in show business. This lady, ludicrous, stupid. Like, it's raining outside. We paid you. Ugh. I called the agent in New York, and he blew it off. I don't use that agent anymore. I said, why don't you walk east till your hat floats? You know?
Wow. I'm looking back at the comments. Bob responded. He said it was Tom Mullica, and he said Tom Mullica did a Ventriloquist DVD with Jay Marshall.
Yeah. Tom was brilliant. Yeah. Tom, great actor.
Yeah. Wow. What are you working on now? I mean, you're doing shows. Are you working on any current projects, or just working on doing shows? And
just finished writing a book.
Okay, awesome.
It's Todd Oliver, Dogs, Dummies, and Rock and Roll. My life in show business.
I love it.
I've got a new band. We're recording my rock and roll songs. It's a new version of an old band called Smiling Eyes.
Okay, good. So when did this? When did this come to be? Or like when you got back?
Well, I put the band together in 2008.
Okay.
And then I had a touring show. It was rock and roll and a talking dog, completely original, right? With psychedelia dog videos with the music, and it played good on the road, but it didn't work in Branson. Nobody got it. They just didn't get it.
Right.
Boy, why ain't you playing Rocky Top? But it's hard. Budgets. It's hard to keep a band on the road, and the budgets right now. There's not. Well, now nobody's working. Those rooms, everything's closed. But the budgets changed. Well, the band and I went down to Phoenix. We played 8 concerts in January. That was fun. And it's fun. It's a rock and comedy.
Yeah.
The band does 6 songs, and it's a 90-minute show. It's the band has we do a rockin' thing opening, and then the dog comes out. Then the band does a couple songs, some psychedelic video, and then the figures. And then a drum solo and a guitar solo, a song, and then the dog comes out and answers audience questions. I get the audience on stage at the audience bit, and then we do a thing called "If You Had a Good Time, Howl Like a Dog," and we get the audience. It's a version of Hush, na 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 hush, and the dog comes on the screen, hush, hush. It's like a rock and comedy thing,
Yeah.
But the budgets aren't there for it right now.
Mm-hmm.
But currently, here's what happened. I toured a lot the last not this summer. Last summer and the summer before, I played the Old Town Hall Theater in Medora, North Dakota for 2 summers. That was fun.
Okay.
8 shows a week, and I spent a lot of time woodshedding on stuff and writing and editing and trying some stuff out. Some stuff be too hip for the room, and
sure,
just messing with it. And then I toured a lot of these community concert tours, which are like performing arts centers in medium and small sized communities. A lot of times they're high school auditoriums. Now, here's a lesson. Keep that PA in your car. Keep some lighting in your car. If you use video, keep some video. In my van, I have a follow spotlight.
Okay.
I bought it in 1993. It was $5,000, and the road case was like $800. It's an HMI light, which replaced the carbon arc spotlights of the old days. This is now all you vents out there, HMI follow spot. That's a white beam on your act, and they can see that figure. They can see the wrinkles in the figure's skin. I mean, HMI follow spot. Back in the old days, a lot of young folks don't remember this. Carbon arc spots were used in variety shows. Magicians like Cardini and a lot of other acts, that spot was all they used. The rest of the stage was black, but that spot was on the vent in the figure or the magician or whatever. And because of the intensity of that spotlight, they can see all the intricacies, right?
Right.
I keep one of those in my van, in a road case. And when I get to some funky room, if the lighting isn't good, roll it in the back of the room, get somebody on it. You could teach an ape how to run one of them things,
So you're saying there's other more important aspects to a show than just buying more puppets? Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Well, it depends. You have to analyze the artist in you.
That's neat. I never, that's great that it follows you, and that's because that's so important. I mean, having a PA system, just everything as a backup. I mean,
2 PA systems.
Yeah.
2 PAs. I also have 8 jet set backdrops from Abbott's Magic Company. They don't even make it. I don't think they make them anymore. Well, maybe they do. I have my own backdrops that can go up.
Mm-hmm.
And I use them a lot. I get to a funky room and they got some thing, like some of these theaters I'll arrive at, they're building sets, right?
Right.
Well, we have to take it all down. I said, no, you don't have to take it down. We'll put my backdrop right in front of your set, and I'm working in one, you know?
Yeah.
And so the theaters love it because I'm an easy act.
Mm-hmm.
And many times here's the thing. Just because it's an auditorium and they have, like, okay, a lot of people, a lot of communities are putting performing arts centers in high schools now. And they put $1 million performing arts center in a high school.
Yeah.
$1 million equipment. Sometimes the people in charge are the drama teacher or the band teacher. And what happens? The kids blow up the PA and they don't know it. Yeah, they've got they've got the the top of the line JBL or whatever system they have, but it doesn't work because somebody blew it up. So what do? I go out to the van. I bring in my 4 little cabinets, 12 horns. I prefer 12-inch speakers and horns, not 15s. 12 and horns. 12 and a horn is much better for the voice than a 15 and a horn. I'm not going to argue about it with anybody because music stores want to sell that stuff.
What brand do you use?
I have Yamaha 12 horn cabinets, and then for my bigger system, I have an EAW system. I just got it in Vegas. I went to Vegas in January. I saw Terry. We had dinner.
Yeah.
Next day, I picked up my EAW equipment, and then I drove to Phoenix. The band flew to Phoenix, and I drove the band truck to Phoenix, and we used a new system there.
Oh, cool.
But for my regular single shows, I keep 4 Yamaha 12 horn cabinets, and I have a I have a powered Yamaha mixer.
Okay, cool.
Yamaha you can always depend on it, but they're wooden cabinets. I don't like plastic. I don't like plastic speaker cabinets. I like the wood cabinets. And in my band days, I learned how to EQ a room, how to EQ a system, But with a 12 and a horn, the voice is nothing. The voice will always sound best with a 12 and a horn. Hope that's not boring the heck out of you people.
No, it's important, and hopefully our viewers are able to take note of what they need to enhance their show. I'm curious. I have a few more things before we wrap up. What is your comedy writing process in a nutshell? Do you have one? Do you have a style that you try to aim for when you write for a character?
It's there's different. It all comes in different. It all comes in different ways. How can I do this? Like with a dog, I anything dog related.
Mm-hmm.
Anything dog related, I think, where's the joke there?
Sure.
And then I try simple stuff like that joke I wrote. How come when I throw the stick, you don't get it? I don't want it.
Yeah.
That's the kind of material I like.
Uh-huh.
Whether you're 6 years old or you're 106, you don't get too far out where the audience we're not on a scavenger hunt here, man. Get to the gag, right? Let everybody be able to laugh. My favorite sound in the world is children and their parents laughing at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
What could be more groovy than sharing a laugh with your mom and dad?
Yeah. That
happiness without feeling gross or offended or grossed out or offended, But my process is I make a list of everything dog related. And I'm always thinking about it, or else, I don't know, things come to me like a lot of it just comes to me, like, okay, everybody, and I try to use stuff that everybody can relate to. Chick-fil-A.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody can relate to Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
Kids, everybody, they love it. Mm-hmm. So the dog going on a date, where's he going to go? He's going to go somewhere everybody else goes. Chick-fil-A. Right? Okay, that's true. I do a joke that's a little far out. I'll do it all the time. Irving, and I just try to ask the dog and here's another thing. How does the dog or how does the figure look at stuff? Now, when Pops comes out of that suitcase, he's pissed off. About time you get me out of that. Listen, okay, here's where the joke is. He's been stuck in this trunk. I hate that place. It's dark, it's hot, it's dreary. There ain't no heat, no water, no television, no HBO. Might as well be in Austin. You know, that's not, I wouldn't say Austin, but I use like a small town.
Right.
That everybody can, some crap hole small town that everybody can relate to. But you know,
that's a great thing too, because it can, it's like a locational joke and it bands the audience together.
Very wise observation, Landon. Here's another thing. This joke's a little far out. And so Irving, what's the weirdest thing you've seen all year? Transgender dog. Oh, what do you say? Meow. It's a dumb joke. It doesn't make sense, but they laugh.
Yeah.
It's dumb. It doesn't have to make sense as long as it's so dumb they laugh at it.
Right.
You know, and remember, you analyze a joke, it's not fun anymore. So, you know, like one time I was doing a corporate date, which I hardly ever do those anymore. I don't want to do them. I just want to play my theaters and go home. That's all I want to do. So I planned a woman for a software company. Said, I don't like that the old lady figure. I don't like her. I don't think she portrays women very. You know, I don't like. What? Are you nuts? It's a dummy. It's a puppet. She was trying to think it was being a bad reflection on women. I said, fine, I'll take her out. Price doesn't change. Show's gonna be a little shorter.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's fine. It's fine. We'll still pay the same amount. Right. I bet you will. The point is, I'm never going to argue with somebody, or I'm not even going to discuss why something is or not fun, why it's funny or why it's offensive.
Right.
Like, you know, I had a lady one time say, you know, that was kind of pretty racy. I said it came from the dog. The gag was, and I don't do the joke anymore, but I don't know why she said racy, not racist, racy. But Lucy would say, do you like Irving? No, why? He's always sticking his nose where it don't belong. Dogs do that.
Right.
But this woman really got creeped out by it. And it was a corporate day. I just want you to do that joke in the show. Fine. Yeah. And I was doing a corporate date one time, and the lady in charge was really uptight because the head guy was the head of the company was a real jerk. He was a real jerk. He's sitting ringside, and Joey looks at him and says, "Hey, what's your name?" And the guy just stared, and Joey went, "Think."
Oh man.
The crowd screamed.
Yeah.
He got up and walked out, pissed off.
No. Oh my
after
God.
the show, he came up to me. He said, I want to talk to you. I said, go talk to your mother. Get out of here. Go.
Yeah.
I'm not talking to you. Go. I already got the check. If you think you're going to play anything, just get out of here. Go home to your mother. I didn't care. I don't care. I'm not going to. At this point in my life, I'm professional. I'm nice. But if they're a kook, I don't want nothing to do with them.
Talk to everyone else. They laughed.
You know, it's.
Yeah.
You know, the thing about show business, you know, every now and then somebody will try to tell you the audience, you know, okay, I work PG at the most. Mm-hmm. I don't cuss. I don't talk about sexual stuff or body parts, anything like that. But still, I don't care who you are, there's going to be some creep in the crowd who wants to find fault with what you do.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Go talk to a shrink or a priest, but stay away from me. I didn't used to be this. I mean, I'm a very, very nice, cordial person. But right now, when I was thinking about these bad shows you mentioned, like what's the worst shows, I get upset because I think about why did I put up with it?
Right.
You know? Remember, there'll always be people that won't get it.
Mm-hmm. Remember,
I don't care who you are, how good, how bad, how great your shows are, Listen, we're all human beings. We're going to have good shows. We're going to have shows where we're a little off the groove. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
You can walk into a room. There's 6 people in that room. One person is a real introvert. One person's going through a divorce. One person ate something before and their stomach's a little bad. 2 other people are fighting. What do you got? You got 6 losers, right? Mm-hmm. Well, that can happen with an audience, my friend. And don't think it can't, because it can. You can walk out there and you can have a front row of people. I'll give you a heck of a story. Showboat, Nashville, Tennessee. Corporate buyout. Some big corporation bought the boat out for the show, right?
Yeah.
But it was a small crowd. It was like 150 people. The girl dancers and the boy dancers come off show. I'm standing backstage holding the figure, waiting to go on. Mm-hmm. And the girls come off and they say, Todd, they're terrible. They're terrible. I don't know. Good luck, Todd. They're terrible. Which they never, ever, hardly ever did that. Because usually it was a public gig. It was a tourist destination. So it was always the audience changed all the time. Mm-hmm. Tourist destination. I went out there and they weren't very good. They were pretty dead. You know why?
Why?
Because before that afternoon, before they got on the boat, they'd all been given their pink slip. They'd all been fired because the company was downsizing, and our show was a going away present. Yeah. No kidding. It happens, man.
Listen, now, when did you find out that?
Next day.
Yeah. Wow.
It happens, man. It happens. You can.
How do you see? That's what really like. How do you, with so much audience involvement? It's not like you can just pull back up the fourth wall and continue the show. When you're writing on audience involvement. I mean, do you do that? Do you just switch? Okay, I'm just gonna, or do you say I'm gonna keep trying this audience involvement thing till I get to the next bit? I mean, what is your? Is it just kind of what happens in the moment with you?
With the audience involvement stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the first type of audience involvement is Joey talking to somebody in the front row, because he does that. That's what I still keep my old format because it's always worked. Yeah. He comes out, opening joke about the piano, and then he wants to do his own act. Can I do my act? My new act? I do impressions. Yeah, he does 3 impressions, right?
Yeah. And
then after that, I said, what can I do now? Why don't you talk to the folks? All right. And hey, what's your name? What's your name? Hey, lady, can I talk to that beautiful lady down front in the red dress? Isn't she gorgeous? Yeah. Beautiful, isn't she? Yeah. Can I talk to her? Yeah, go ahead. Hey there, what's your name? And we're into it. Well, are you married? Then we do a marriage joke. Are you married? Yeah, well, I think marriage is like a card game. Boom, we do that joke.
Right.
Then there's a tag. I think, and then I do an old stock thing because it just works. Yeah, they say married people live longer. No, it just seems longer. Ask her. How long you been married? Okay. How many kids? Here's a joke. Vicki Taylor gave me this joke in Boston 30 years ago. It's a great joke. And Vicki Taylor, who was married to Roy Douglas, right? Mm-hmm. Vaudeville. They played the Palace as a duo. Mm-hmm. So here's the joke. Yeah, how long you been married? 30 years? Wow. How many kids? 1? What, your husband got a night job? Killer. Vicki and I went to dinner in Boston. And Vicki was a dynamo. Powerhouse of a little gal. Funny. Yeah. We're sitting having spaghetti dinner in Boston. And she said that to the waitress. And I laughed so hard, I couldn't breathe. Ricky Lane was that way too. Yeah. Ricky, I was playing the Magic Castle years ago. Ricky came out, we had dinner. And right off the bat, funny guy. So the waiter comes over to the table and says, would you like cocktails? And Ricky says, no, we're using dope now. I just started screaming, laughing,
Man.
Yeah. So anyway, so the figure, Joey, he works the crowd, One joke, you married? Yeah. Where's your husband? Well, that's the husband?
Yeah.
She's got a sense of humor. Hey, that's her husband. Well, who do you think it was? Her father. Hey, Mom, you see what he's doing? Cordial,
Right.
You apologize. I'm sorry. All right. I didn't say it. He did. I just moved my mouth. All right, fine. Why don't you talk to somebody else now? It's like a little kid who's, why don't you talk to someone over there? Hey, that dude there, yeah, can I talk to him? And now he works this guy over here. 2 or 3 gags on this guy. And then boy, what do you know? What? Got people from everywhere. They say travel broadens one. Looks like that back row's been all around the world. So he just
when you have like a difficult show, you just continue with it and you just move from wow.
Yeah, because you have to have those prepared. If they don't answer, okay. Hi, what's your name? They don't answer, or they don't know who the dummy's looking at. Okay, so what do you do? Hey, what's your name? Nothing comes back. Is it too hard of a question?
Right.
Hey, lady, read my lips. What's your name? This stuff. Remember, all you vents out there, the dummy can get away with it. He's not being chauvinistic. He's not being sexist. It's a dummy. It's a figure. He's an impish little creature. I'm sorry. Political correctness in comedy doesn't work. Sorry. No.
Yeah.
It doesn't work for me. And I don't hurt people's feelings. I mean, every now and then there's a kook,
Right.
Yeah. That's going to happen.
Yeah. How many times do you use like a new joke before you feel that it fits with your act or it doesn't? Like, will you give it?
Oh, usually I'll play it a week.
Okay.
But most of the time now, see, it's all about editing. It's get to the punchline. Ron Lucas, God bless him, gave advice one time at a convention. I'll never forget it. He said, keep your punchlines close together as possible. God bless him. That's the truth. So, and for me, I'm a little neurotic about it. I want that joke to be, well, here's an example. Years and years and years ago, I spent a couple of years on cruise ships. I don't really care for those. I don't think there's a whole lot of respectful anticipation for the artist. They haven't come to stand in line and buy a ticket and sit in the theater. They paid for their cruise. They come in, they sit in these loungy, soft couches and stuff, right? So, and they paid for the cruise, so they're, this better be good. Sometimes you get that. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you get very nice people that are very receive, they want to receive the, but it's sometimes now years ago, see, when I did them, it was all rich old people. But I got to go around the world.
Right.
Yeah, in the old days, a lot of us older guys, we got to, but a lot of those days, a lot of them were hard of hearing. See, now that's the other thing. See, you're on a ship that's rocking. The average age is 75, and they're hard of hearing. Not the greatest, right. But there again, I wrote a great opening joke for those rooms in those days. First thing Joey would say is, I've never seen so many beautiful, sophisticated, intelligent-looking women in my entire life. Good. And the gentleman, I've never seen so many 50-year-old suits in my entire life. Killer.
Yeah, that's great.
So you hook them in the front end. Hook them in the front end. And something kind of a little timely, I remember for years, Mike Tyson, Joey did an impression of Mike Tyson. He just fell over. Killed. Because Mike Tyson was a bully. He bit that guy's ear off.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I do some political stuff, and sometimes people get a little nervous. I remember when Bill Clinton was in trouble. I wrote a joke. I don't know if I remember it. What do? I'm a ventriloquist. I make things talk that won't talk. Well, why don't you get Bill Clinton on your knee? I hear he's looking for a new job. That's when he got impeached, That was timely, right? So that, I remember I wrote so I try to keep things timely too. Like a few years ago, the dog says, I'm working at a dog training school out there. Hillary Clinton brought in her dog. What was the joke? Hillary Clinton got her dog in, can't train it. Oh, what's his name? WikiLeaks. Killer.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, there was a couple others too. So like right now I'm doing this Trump thing.
Mm-hmm.
The dog. I did. Well, you probably saw it on. I did it. I wrote it for that TV thing. I'm still doing it. The Trump thing with the dog. Irving wants to be Trump's dog. Oh, really? What would be his first command? Sick him. Who? All those guys in Hollywood that said they'd move to Canada. He got elected. Yeah, I'm going to chase him up there. What would be your title? Secretary of Defense. What does that mean? I'll build defense. They can't get back in. All right. So the big dilemma is barrier or a wall. Wall. Concrete or heavy metal? Led Zeppelin. How high? Real high. Like what? Willie Nelson. So I'm still doing that bit. It still plays strong, Yeah. I used to do this. This was kind of edgy. People thought I was pushing it. I wrote a Christmas routine one time. Christmas test. Who's big, fat, and jolly comes into everyone's living room? Rush Limbaugh. Back when he was a big fat guy. Okay. Right. Okay. Who's Santa's friend with the big red nose? Ted Kennedy. Ted Kennedy had a real red face. Now I know. Who's Santa's friend with the big red nose? Nancy Pelosi. She got red, right? She got the red, Yeah. There again, the dummy can get away with it.
Yeah.
You take offense to the dummy? All right. Go talk to a priest. Don't talk to me.
Yeah, it's, gosh.
But to find material, imagine the dummy having to do what you have to do. So what'd you do today? Okay, what did you do today? I went to the post office. Well, so the dummy. I'm just thinking out loud now. Okay, I went to the post office. They had that priority mail. They put me in a box. See what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Like Irving was. I wrote this great joke. I still do it all the time. Irving, what are you doing after the show? I'm going out to a restaurant. There again, you go out to restaurants. What if the dummy goes to a restaurant?
Right. That's great.
You go on a date. If you went on who was it? Bill, God bless him. Bill Anderson. Did you know Bill? School event, school teacher, wrote great books, School Talk for Dummies. Bill was a very nice man. Wrote a great joke. Fabulous joke. I had a date with Sherry last night. Only spent $2. How's that? That's all she had. That's a vent joke, folks. Short.
Yeah.
And the dummy gets, the dummy he's a little devil, He's getting away with this stuff, right? Well, so Irving, what are you doing after the show? I'm going out to a restaurant. How can you get into a restaurant? I tell him I'm a seeing-eye dog and I left the blind guy in the car. Believe it or not, there's been a lot of blind people in the audience when I've done that joke. Never once did they ever complain. In fact, a lot of them thought it was very funny.
Yeah.
See? The blind, they don't get hung up on it.
They never came up to you after the show?
Oh, sure they did.
Oh, they did? Okay. Yeah.
Oh, and more than one of them said, hey, I like that blind joke.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Or I thought it was you. I mean, it might have been someone else there.
Well, it's just, yeah.
Yeah. But
I'm a magician. I'm not the vent. Yeah.
What'd you say?
I said, I'm the magician, not the vent. Oh, okay. Well, tell them I think that joke's pretty funny.
Well, it's so hard to, political comedy because you got to appease both sides if you're going to go one way or another. I mean, it's more like, whatever is in the news and whatever just kind of fits with. And it's also, you can get away more with if the dummy says it, or if the.
I think I think you can just deal with what's ever going on at the time.
Sure.
I have this idea for a joke. I haven't written it yet, really, but I'll tell. This is how it's. So here's the bit.
Sure.
Irving, here's another example. Irving, what's new? My feet are killing me. Well, everybody got sore feet. Now, yeah, I got 4 of them. Well, of course, it happens to me. Yeah, but you get to wear shoes. I don't wear shoes. What if why don't you, maybe they make doggy shoes? No, then you got to rotate them. Forget it. Well, you have to go barefoot. It's just the way it is. The joke is, what could be more disgusting? Why don't you go barefoot? Well, what could be this isn't it, but what could be more disgusting than a dog going barefoot? Chuck Schumer going barefoot. Now, maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know. It's been, it's kind of germinating in my head. He's on the news all the time.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, I
asked Taylor Mason. Yeah.
I did a thing. I've got this. George Boozy. George Boozy event. He's from out east. Him and his wife MJ are dear friends.
Yes.
And they're editing my book.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Well, George gifted me a Fenton figure. God love him. He said, Todd, this dummy was in my figure. I'm sorry. I don't want to offend all you serious vents out there. Figure. He said, I was going to give this to you in my will, but why should you have to wait till I pass away? I'm going to just send it to you now. So he sent me this really brilliant looking Bill Nelson figure.
Oh, I think I've seen a video of it.
Yeah. I call him Professor Lib.
Beautiful. I love Bill Nelson's work.
Yeah. Well, he's a real bizarre looking thing. I made him a liberal college professor. Right.
That's genius. Talk about originality in a character. I mean,
Well, the first thing he says is, I've got tenure. I've got tenure. I've got tenure. Read my lips. I can do it and say anything I want. I got tenure. That's the bit right there, right?
That's it. That's it. You just bring him out for that and you put him away.
No. I haven't used him in a show. I did a video with him on my Facebook thing. But I said, who's your most famous student? And he says, Adam Schiff. You guys got a lot in common? He goes, yeah, look. And then I take the dummy's head and I take it out of I raise the head stick up. So the neck is real long. Adam Schiff's got that pencil neck, right?
Yeah.
So the dummy,
And that's physical comedy too. That's another way to.
Well, that's the thing. I think,
it's that blend between,
Let me tell you something. Foy Brown's brother, Doc Brown, had a Mac figure. My good friend Dennis Bowman owns the figure, one of the most beautiful figures I've ever seen. When Doc had the figure, Doc did a bit. Now, of course, this was in the 1930s, right? 1940s. But the figure wore a hat. And the figure would you get my hat? Yeah, all right. And Doc would grab that, put it on, get rid of it again. Hat won't stay on. And the vent would be looking somewhere else, and then the dummy would get rid of the hat. This is a running thing.
Yeah.
And I guess the audiences and the kids just screamed. Situational humor. Kenny Bird, brilliant vent. I saw Kenny. Let me tell you something about Kenny Bird, man. 1983. Carlton Celebrity Room in Minneapolis. They had 2 rooms. They had the main room. They had the backstage lounge. I'm working the backstage lounge. Kenny's in the main room with Sammy Davis Jr. Right?
Wow.
Right. And Kenny, he just blew me away. I'll tell you how strong Kenny was. He had that figure. Joel Leader made that figure. Rudy, little
Yes.
Little Rudy. Yeah. Well, Kenny did a lot of situational humor in his act. And that's where I learned the power of situational humor, was watching Kenny. Because Kenny could milk, a bit brilliantly. Well, I'll tell you how. Let me tell you about this little Mr. Bird here. I was doing 2 shows a night. Between my shows, Kenny was on for the early show. So I would run out of my dressing room and I'd take this back stairs. I come in the back of the theater in the balcony.
Yeah.
And I watched people in that back of that balcony, and they were on their edges of their seats watching Kenny. He had them right there, man, right in the hand. And he had Bill Boley made him the bird, the crow, the huge orange beak. Brilliant. Everybody can see that mouth move. Yeah. There's another thing. Don't ever let anybody tell you that everybody has used Marshalls. You shouldn't use let me tell you something. Frank Marshall had something figured out. That nice big mouth, everybody can see it in the back of the house. Mm-hmm. I remember Vonda K. Van Dyke, Miss America, Marshall figure.
Yes. She
said, I wanted a Marshall figure. I wanted that look because that nice big mouth, everybody can see it. No kidding. I'm kind of I'm really getting out there. I'm sorry. Hope I'm not.
No, but it's interesting because that's a whole other thing that I've never. I should interview some pageant ventriloquists because it's kind of become a thing where they have the 2 soft puppets and it's kind of the typical thing. And so to see someone that kind of varies from that is, you just don't see it a lot.
Most of the pageant events years ago, all they did was sing.
Right.
Okay. Well, and TV, TV is a weird thing, you only got to do 3 minutes or 6 minutes, but you better know like when I did Letterman, I was on that showboat in Nashville, Branson, Missouri.
Yes.
Now I had been doing my act for a long time, but I still had to know my time. So I had to edit my act, do an edited version of my show for that TV show.
Okay.
So I had the lady at the gift shop with a stopwatch. I knew what I was going to do. I pretty much knew it. And for a week, I had to put the stopwatch on my act. And I knew the time I would, when you're in a review, see, they don't have review shows anymore. So a lot of it's unfortunate. Because when you do your act every night, 2 shows a night, you hone that thing down to right?
Right.
And it's the greatest, man. There's nothing better than having your act right there, solid. There's no fat on that act. Bam, 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 bam. Don't waste their time. Don't waste your time. Don't depend on the band. Just get out there and nail it. And the only way you do that is by doing your act a zillion times. Mm-hmm. Well, when I did with the Letterman thing, I had that act down to 5.5 minutes. TV people love it when you know your time, because then they don't have to go this, and this.
Right.
And that's so it's know your stuff and edit it and get all the fat off it. And but I write material in the shower. I get an idea and I'm doing the lines in the shower, and then I'm switching it. Here's what I want to tell you. Here's an example of a joke. I got booked at Alcoholics Anonymous New Year's Eve party. And Bob Trent from Chicago, he's dead now, but Bob was brilliant.
Yeah.
I should tell you, I got another Bob Trent talk about brilliant.
Alcoholics Anonymous, I guess you can't ask people for their names. That's not a lot of pandering.
Well, I remember I was nervous as and Bob was playing St. Paul at a sportsman show or something.
Yeah.
And Bob, I remember when I used to go over there, we'd go to the coffee shop and we'd eat, Hey kid, he used to call me Punk. All right, Punk, what do you want now? Well, I got a club date New Year's Eve. For who? Alcoholics Anonymous. Use every drunk joke you know. That was his answer.
Yeah.
What? Kid, do it. Well, here was the joke. I did a bunch of them because I had been working on those cruises, doing those, where they're serving booze anyway. So I had some drunk jokes. Dick Weston helped me a lot.
Yeah.
Dick Weston from Vegas, brilliant. He helped me a great deal because he had a drunken figure. He had a Clarence with a drunk.
Oh, okay.
And when
talk about a puppet, right?
Yeah. And Dick gave me some drunk jokes, but then Bob gave me the drunk joke that capped them all off. And the joke was, I think you're an alcoholic. No, I'm a drunk. What's the difference? I don't go to meetings. That was a killer. But I was doing the joke wrong. And you know how it was wrong?
How?
I think you're an alcoholic. No, I'm a drunk. What's the difference? I don't go to the meetings. You don't need it. I don't go to meetings.
Amazing. The difference that one word.
Think about that. I don't go to the meetings. Stumble. I don't go to the meetings. I don't go to meetings. You're there. Get it?
Yeah.
That's what you learn. And, it's just, all right. Now here's the story of all stories. I got booked a club date. Well, now see, us old timers, club date meant one nighter.
Okay.
Like a country club gig. That's what we used to call them. Nobody, all you young guys don't know what that means. Now you call them what one nighters or corporates. We used to call them club dates. I got booked club date for a company that made penile implants.
Huh.
For guys that have trouble.
Right.
I'm trying to keep this. This was a medical thing. It's a medical thing, right?
Yeah.
But here's the joke that Bob Trent. So I go to see Bob. Bob's playing gig in St. Paul. Bob used to MC these huge sportsman shows with the crow, with the dummy crow, Roscoe the Crow. So I said to Bob one time, I said, well, I got a weird club date coming up. What is it? I said, it's a company that makes the implants for men who have a problem,
Yeah.
And he said, well, of course you're doing special material. And in seconds, he wrote this joke. We're walking up the stairs. He goes, I got it. Bob was that way. Bob was that we're walking up the stairs. He goes, I got it. And this was the joke. This was the biggest laugh I ever got in my life with the figure. The audience thing is a killer. Well, the way I do it my own way. It's a killer. But this is the biggest laugh I ever got with a vent figure. And now I remember this was a corporate audience. They were serving alcohol. I don't do any cussing. I don't drop nothing gross. But this is the deal. Pop said, where are we tonight? I said, well, this is American Medical Systems. And Pop said, what do you know? I got me a new AMS 700. I got a problem, though. And I looked down at his lap towards his zipper, and he said, not there. Turned his head around. Back here. They installed it on the wrong side. You see what you get? You see what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Penile implant. They installed it on the wrong side. All the dummy said was, not there. Back here. When that head turned around, he said, back here, the room exploded.
Oh man. Not to mention the fact that it's like a merge between the situational comedy and then also setting up the joke. Wow.
It stopped the show. I remember a guy falling out of his chair on the floor, screaming, laughing. I'm not bragging. This isn't a bragging. This doesn't happen every gig, man. But you're asking about certain gigs that I remember that were so bizarre,
Yeah.
This was one. And then Bob said, I got to watch you all back into. Well, it was one of these, and it just, the waves and the waves and the waves, see that, but that was then, you know what? That was 1985, a long time ago. And they were serving alcohol. Still, I never talked about body parts, but I didn't have to, you see. All the dummy said was, not there, back here. So we didn't say the word to describe the anatomy or anything like this,
Right.
Because the thing is I never had the personality or the face. Well, first of all, I would never work that way. I would never drop the F-bomb. I would never, my figures never would. Because I believe there's the impish, endearing charm of that figure. A little guy. He can be a little devil and embarrass people, but he's still a poor little guy that lives in the suitcase. He doesn't have the greatest life. He has to come out. He's got to entertain all these people. He's got to work with you. He's depending on you to make sure you don't forget the gag or God knows what, right? He's not too impressed here. I always loved it when Fred Mayer said he doesn't hold any will towards anybody, but he's not impressed with anybody either. Pretty cool description, don't you think?
I love that. Wow. That is
right on.
That's so great. Wow. I love that. So in wrapping up here, Todd, what are your hopes for the future of ventriloquism and where do you think it will go?
I think it's got more opportunity now than ever.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Why
look at all the ones that won that show. I was a top 4 finalist. I lost to the Sandman, the hippie guy that made pictures with sand. It got down to me and him and how he picked the sand guy over me. Big deal.
Yeah.
Could have used that $1 million though.
Yeah. Where is the sand guy now?
I don't know. But because of that show, it's given ventriloquism a tremendous boost. It really has. I mean, Darcy made it charming and sweet and lovable, and Terry made it really. I mean, Terry did something that nobody ever saw before this.
Yeah, surprising.
Well, Willie and Lester sing. They're great singers. But people haven't seen Willie in a long time. Willie. When I back in the 70s and the 80s, I saw Willie on TV all the time.
Yeah,
great singer. But nobody had seen a singing event in a long time. Well, okay. So where's it going? Well, there's so much opportunity. So you have on the internet. I don't know what you're gonna have your own internet show. You're gonna do internet commercials with the dummy. Are you going to do tutorials with the dummy? Are you going to? What are you going to? Public service announcements? I've done those for beach safety and pet safety and all that. I mean, there's so much opportunity. Okay, all right. I think ventriloquism it's been reborn. It never went away.
Right.
But a lot of people have made it pretty cool and given it
for sure
a great deal of respect. Because of that, there's a lot of people that they want to see event. They want to see the dummy. They want to see event act. So that's really great. Where do I see it going? Okay. Well, there's work out there, but you got to go get it. And you'll get 50 or 100 no's, but then you'll get a yes. And then you do the show. There's, you've got to know, you've got to be prepared. There's certain kind of Marvin Roy, Mr. Electric, great magician, passed away just last week. Marvin Roy used to say, I don't work fairs. I don't work malls. I'm a cabaret act. I don't work fairs. I don't work malls. I'm a cabaret act. He knew where his act fit.
Right.
So, okay. So there's great opportunity out there. You just have to go get it. Booking schools now seems impossible, but hopefully it'll come back.
Yeah.
But right now, the pressure on teachers and administrators to have the kids in class and make sure they pass, a lot of people aren't doing the school assembly thing, which is a real sad drag. It's a real drag because a lot of us.
My mom's a middle school teacher, and she is. It's crazy right now.
It is crazy, but but there again, not every event can play school show. You better. I mean, I was able to do school shows because I had a lot of material about math, geometry, and then, the first thing the dummy would do is nail the principle. Right. We're here, Johnson Junior High. I do my impression of Mr. Sims, hard at work in his office. Snoring. Kids go nuts. Who told you to say that? The secretary. Second laugh, right?
Yeah.
Who wrote all this material? Mr. Bounds, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, let's take you to math class at Johnson Junior High. Okay. 1 + 1, 2, correct. You do all those old school jokes and all that. Mm-hmm. But so hopefully they'll come back. There's just
what do you hope to see from like future ventriloquists and today's youth that are getting into it, the art.
Well, now I've got my opinions on certain things that people don't have to agree on.
Sure.
I hope that they stay clean. Mm-hmm. Because you have a wider audience demographic.
Sure.
If you're not dirty or cuss, there's more work for you. And people and agents and buyers will trust you. They'll be able to trust you. When I got started in the 70s, you didn't even think about saying, nobody said S-H-I-T, or nobody dropped the F. You'd never work again. Now that was in the 70s, right? Mm-hmm. But still, buyers if they can't trust you, they're not going to hire you.
Sure.
So I would hope that, here's another thing. All you young vents out there, get out and volunteer. The audience is a great teacher. The audience is a great teacher, but don't volunteer just one show a month. No, do 3 shows a week. Heck, man, I used to do 12 shows a week. As a volunteer, I did 12 shows a week from 9th grade through 12th grade. Yeah. All volunteer. And man, did I learn. Yeah, you're going to bomb. Sure you are. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're going to bomb. Yeah, you're going to be at gigs where, okay, this isn't the greatest, Remember, every now and then you'll get to a place where there's no discipline. Yeah. Now and then you're going to play a date where you told them the food and beverage staff have to be out of the room. I can't work when people are eating. I can't work when waiters are bussing the dishes. No, but every now and then some schmuck's not going to listen to you. Mm-hmm. It's going to happen. So just get out there and volunteer and do gigs that. I knew an act that went out and opened for James Brown and got chased off stage. I got a call one time to open for James Brown, mm-hmm. and even the agent knew. He said, "Todd, James Brown needs an opening act this weekend." I thought, but I don't think that's really for you. I said, "No, it's not for me."
Yeah,
I knew I didn't belong opening for James Brown. They hired a comedy magician. The audience chased him off stage. Both. I don't know if he even did the second show. Don't book dates where you don't fit. You can't play every date. You can't play every date.
But then, sometimes you also have to, you end up being the, managing the entire thing, because I did a church show once, quick story, but I was to go on for this church show, and I got there, I had my whole background set up, everything looked good. And I was told that there would, this guy would go up and say a few things. He had some stock, church Bible jokes, I guess. Right. And I go, okay, this is great. This guy's going to open for me, sure. And I'll go up there. And I'm in the back with the lady that booked me. And she goes, okay, right after he goes up, you're going to go up. And then this older couple walk up. The lady sets her her giant Bible on my stand, on my puppet stand, and the guy's got a guitar, and they go, "Hi, we're so-and-so, and we'd love to share a few hymns with you this evening. And the second one that we'll share is dedicated to so-and-so who recently passed away."
Yeah.
So this guy that's been doing 10 minutes and actually warming up the crowd, and then I get this couple that decides that and it's gonna be their time, and then they just stop after the third song and then just walk off. And I recorded all of this, and I'm going back, and it's so funny because just watching it in hindsight, because they don't even say thank you or anything. They walk up there, no one, the lady doesn't, the bookman doesn't even know why they're there, and then they just walk off, and then I go up there and do my thing. But yeah,
okay, here's one way you can solve that.
Yeah.
You put a second microphone to stage left or stage right, and you say, you use that one. Don't touch my props or my mic.
Right.
Now, I always keep a second SM58 because if there's somebody who wants to do some talking or something like that, and it used to really, back in the old days, when I'd walk out the figure, I didn't have a free hand to put the stool back behind the microphone stand.
Yeah.
I always had another mic somewhere else, and I said, let's get one, But this is a horror story. I was on a Sitmar cruise one time. I had a harp go on before me and this guy had no sense of time. The band couldn't stay with him because he had such bad tempo. He did everything in the key of C. Boring, boring, boring half hour of boring harp playing, And then at the end of his act, he goes off stage. The cruise director introduces me. I go on and do my thing. While I'm getting to my first joke, this creep is behind me wrapping up his cords for his crappy PA system. While I'm doing my act, Joey turned his head around and just started singing them.
Oh man,
Joey just worked them. Look at this guy. You got a new job? Maybe we should give you a broom. You want to clean the stage too? Man, oh man, I bet you could have, And I remember, Joey. Joey just started singing them, and he finally it was a cruise ship. He brought his own PA on a cruise ship, and he's just terrible. Sometimes you have to follow something awful. Hey man, it happens.
Yeah.
But I remember this great singer at that production show in the Bahamas. Jay Mitchell. He used to say, "Todd, that one's behind you. It's behind you now. Just keep going, man. Just keep moving forward. It's behind you."
Mm-hmm.
I had a school agent who called me one time and said, "Now listen, this is before cell phones, right?
Mm-hmm.
4 schools a day, 5 days, the school tours." He said, "Todd, the next school you're going to get to." He called me at the school, first school of the day. There was a call for me at the office, so I go down there, and it was Otto Evenson. He's an old-time agent. He said, "Todd, the third show of the day is going to be at Milford Junior High. Now, just get in and do your show and get out. Don't analyze it. Don't worry about it. Just get in and do it and get out." "Well, why? I don't even want to tell you about anything. Just get in, do the dumb show, and get out." And I got there, and it was a small town somewhere. I don't know. I can't even remember where.
Mm-hmm.
The whole audience, it was like all of their mothers died. But there was a gloom over the whole school.
Yeah.
They just weren't happy people. It was like a Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
Later on, the agent told me the principal is such a jerk, so nasty. He's made the whole place depressed. The whole place is just depressed. Figure that one out, man. And it was like one big whirl of depression. It happens.
Yeah.
Like that institution I played. God bless those poor patients. They were severely mentally challenged. And they made all kinds of racket and yelling and screaming. They shouldn't have had an event there. They should have a circus act. They didn't. So you can't play every date.
Right.
Playing outdoors, remember this: respectful anticipation for the artist.
Mm-hmm.
Although, some guys, street performers, Steve K,
Yeah.
he's dead. He's dead. Steve K used to work Pier 39 in San Francisco. They used to have a stage in the corner with the balcony around the top. Somebody poured a beer on the dummy's head. You know,
Man.
95 degrees out. I played an outdoor date one day. It was 104 degrees out. Didn't get one laugh. This was like, when I was a kid.
Right.
I got booked on an outdoor thing at a park.
Yeah.
Hot sun, 104 degrees. I'll never forget. I didn't get one laugh. Paying your dues, baby. Paying your dues.
Yeah. Yeah, those are those shows that you do when you start out just to get time on the boards.
Yeah.
Figure things out.
But, for the future event, with this computer and the internet, you can get your stuff out there.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You can reach millions of people with the dummy.
Yeah.
The opportunities and remember, many times as we promote ourselves, we plant seeds.
Mm-hmm.
We may not get the gig the day that we're talking to the buyer or the agent or whatever, but we're planting a seed. Mm-hmm. And many times they call back, we have your stuff here. Remember we talked to you about blah, 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 blah. Right. But just try to have control over the situation. Make sure have your own lighting, have your own sound. Mm-hmm. Now here's another thing. It's my opinion. This is very important. A lot of you guys use those microphones that come down here. Mm-hmm. Handheld mic.
Yeah.
There's that great book called Maxim Entertainment. That guy wrote about for Club Day performers. Mm-hmm. He says, handheld. I agree. Sure, SM58 on a cord. You can hammer nails with them. Mm-hmm. Handheld mic. These things, sometimes, hey, man, I went to a show the other night. I couldn't understand anything they were saying.
Yeah. Not to mention, when you do a distant voice, it's a lot easier to do it with an actual handheld mic.
It's got to be a handheld. And if it's a wireless, it better not be a cheap one.
Yeah.
I've got my own wireless handheld $2,000 mic. Mm-hmm. Never fails.
Yeah.
I've heard of the $500 ones. They sound like crap. Sorry.
Well,
but SM58 costs $100. That's on a cord. Sounds just as great as that $2,000 wireless, but it's got a cord on it. So what? Right. For years, we all use corded mics. So what? Put a 50-foot mic cord on it if you go out in the audience.
Exactly.
Remember, and $2,000 handheld or $100 Shure SM58. That Shure SM58, standard of the industry. It'll always work.
And it's funny, you hear, people hear, like outsiders were like, how much did you spend on that puppet? And then you're like, oh, that's not even the it's not even the bad part. It's like, it costs this much for quality sound and the lighting that you mentioned that follows you, which is just great. I got to it was kind of in my senior year of high school. I was part of this mentorship program and with Dennis Lee, and he's a ventriloquist based in Dallas, and he does school shows. And he's traveled, and that's how he's made his living. And he has like 3 backdrops and all these like set pieces and I'm not sure where I'm going with this. Oh, well, he just had a bunch. It was crazy because he took like half hour to set up, but it was a production for kids, and it was just seeing everything that a quality show entailed and everything. You hear a school show and you think, oh, okay, but then it's like, there's just so many different ways to perform as a school show performer or just ventriloquism. And that's what's really neat is just like comedy. There's so many different ways to perform it. So many different methods and styles. And
your friend Dennis Lee, when he goes on that stage, he knows everything's going to work because it's all his stuff.
Yeah.
He's a pro. He's a professional.
Yes.
I was on my school tours. I had a road rack on wheels. I had 2 speakers. And I had my mic stands and my mics, but on those school tours, I didn't carry any lighting, but I was always on a gym floor with all the lights on.
Right.
Yeah. But when you carry your own equipment, it's going to work. Here's another thing. Don't be rushing around before you walk on. People show up at the last minute setup. That's amateurish.
Yeah.
It's always important. Take your time. Dress slowly, comfortably. Put your makeup on slowly. You blow dry your hair, be there. Carry your own bottled water. Have all your stuff and be relaxed. Don't get too relaxed. Don't be laying around, get your pants all wrinkled up. But don't be hectic before a show. You know, and make sure your suit, your clothes are nice and clean and wrinkled. Make sure your shoes are shined. Don't wear scuffy shoes, crappy looking shoes. Never, never, never. Make sure bring your show shoes separately and they're nice and shined. And I don't care if you're wearing jeans, whatever, your shoes should be shined. You know, a lot of these places now they make these wingtips with cushion, you know, but they're nice shiny leather. Nice shiny leather. It looks good with blue jeans.
Yeah.
But they gotta be shined. They gotta look like they just came right out of the box, nice and clean. Very important. And my God, shave. You know, these guys that go out there they're unshaven. They look like they just got climbed out of the gutter. What the heck is that?
Yeah, it's like today's like,
you know, wear perfect makeup. You know, if you're a kid and you got, even when I was a teenager, when I had acne, I had the makeup. Even I had to, you know, let's do that. Comb it nice, you know, the hairspray it, right? And don't be a sweaty mess before you go on. Be relaxed. You know, all this stuff. It's, you know, it's and I used to always preach this too. You know, hey, you're playing school shows. You drive that car slow when you're riding around a place where you're playing for kids. You drive your car slow. You don't want to hit no kid. Some of these idiots who drive too fast and are late for the gig or something. There's children. When I used to pull into schools, I would be so careful because kids can jump out of nowhere and you can hit them.
Car.
I always get to the gigs early, you know. I always have. But I've had these house gigs. I never had to worry about that.
Well, it's like if you got it set up and you like to get a feel of the room, it's like, why not? And,
Oh, and with when your PA equipment, if you don't know how to equalize a PA, find some hippie rock and roll musician and pay him some money to come along out to a gig and have him teach you how to use that powered mixer and how to make that mic sound good.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I've seen people that have a good PA, but they don't know how to run it. They don't know how to EQ it. And the mic sounds real bass. You have to know how to EQ it. And it's not brain surgery, man. Just find yourself a musician, give him $50 to come out, maybe give him $100 to come to a couple shows and have him teach you how to use that sound system so it does sound good. I mean, that's you know, the good thing is they make a lot more portable equipment these days, but I swear by the Yamaha brand. The stuff will work forever. And I'm talking back in the school show days, I had a Yamaha powered mixer. I did 500 school shows in 9 months for 5 years in a row. That thing never failed.
That's crazy. Yeah. That's awesome. Wow.
You know, Vent is something you just keep doing it, man. You're going to have good shows. You're going to have bad shows, whatever. Sometimes you can't buy a laugh. Sometimes the environment isn't very good. Sometimes, remember, like that analogy I told you about the 6 people in the room that all have their problems. Well, that can happen. I remember Jeff Dunham years ago, one time in one of those news events or the IBM Oracles. I remember one time he said there are sometimes just bad crowds. Yeah. I remember Jeff Dunham said that. He used to write an article for one of the Vent mags back before the internet.
Right.
And it does happen. It you know, I think I told you I was on a cruise ship one time. Right before I was going on, the captain came on the PA and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, this is Captain Anista Marciana Vergine. We have had a airplane crash today, and 4 of our passengers and 6 crew members all perished in the plane. Can we have a moment of silent prayer? This is a terrible tragedy. Can we have some moments of silent prayer, please?" I'm looking at the dummy. He's sweating. Right. I mean, I'm holding the figure. The cruise director is about ready to go on and introduce me, and the captain comes on and does this. We were in Alaska. Sightseeing plane crashed. They all died. But you know what? Oh, and I used to do a couple of gags that were kind of like funeral jokes. Like Joey would say was a stock bit I used to do. Joey claimed he was a lifeguard, and he's gonna. Okay, Joey, if she's in the water, what do? I throw her a life jacket. You can't. It's too far. I walk out. No, the water's too deep. I get in my motorboat. There's no motorboats. What do you do? And Joey, she was a nice kid. That was right?
Oh, man.
And then I do a joke with Pops and Lily. And Lily says to Pops, I bet you never seen anything like me before. And Pops will say, not without digging. Right? Okay. So those two jokes, boom, the red flags came up, boom, when I'm doing my act. But you know what? Here's the thing, Landon, and to all you vents out there. Okay, so I followed the captain asking for silent prayer for 6 people dying that day. Alaska cruise.
Mm.
They used to say only grandparents go on Alaska cruises. No, their grandparents go on Alaska cruises. They're all old folks, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Really, I'm not kidding, man.
Uh-huh.
But anyways, here's the thing. After the captain did that silent prayer thing, I went out and did my act, and it was a killer. They were a great audience.
Really?
They laughed at it, and I really just did my act. Well, that's what I do. I mean, I'm the kind of guy, I do my act. I'll ad-lib in and out of it.
Right.
But I know what I'm going to do before I've got an act. Well, afterwards, between shows, we had 2 shows that night. Princess Cruises. This was in the 1980s. And one of the guys in the band said, well, Todd, these are all old people. They go to funerals every week. Think about it. They paid for this cruise. They're going to have a good time. Well, either that or they were just a good crowd. And back in those days, that senior citizens in the 1970s, the 80s were really good audiences for the most part. They listened better. And they grew up with variety entertainment. People, my mother isn't alive anymore. But from that era, she was 91. She died last year. But people that were born in 1928 or 30, or born in the 1940s, they grew up with variety jugglers, vents, magicians, ice skating, magicians. They grew up with this because variety talent, 50s, Hollywood Palace, Ed Sullivan, Mike Douglas show, Merv Griffin show, even Johnny Carson had a lot of variety acts, So they grew up with it, and they liked variety acts. Unfortunately, the comedy club world used to, and this is just a fact. When I played the comedy clubs early on, there were a lot of those guys that hated variety acts.
Right.
They, even Bud Friedman, I was playing the Improv in LA, and Bud would say, prop. When you gonna quit using the prop?
Yeah.
All right, he didn't get it. Big, powerful man in the comedy world. Prop. I used to get that. And I didn't care, There'll always be people that don't get it.
Twice as much time, if not more, and effort and blood, sweat, and tears to write for that prop, and have that back and forth.
And then all these guys that go out there and call women filthy names and drop the F-bomb left and right and do all this nasty, oh man. I worked the Improv one night in LA, and I went on at like 1 a.m. or something. And it was just awful. And all the acts before me were so, I can't believe, if I was sitting there with first of all, if my wife and I were sitting there, I would have got up and I would have walked out instantly. You don't talk that way in front of ladies. Yeah. But that's the thing, that whole comedy world. I love comedy clubs because it gives, I love people that are really trying to work on their craft and improve it. But if you're going to be a nasty jerk about it to the other acts, sorry, go home to your mother. If you're going to be smoking pot before you go on stage, sorry, go home to your mother.
Right.
If you're going to get drunk and go up on stage, go home to your mother. you're not a, forget it,
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, no, you're serious about your craft.
Mhm.
Well, I used to, I had a guitar player I worked with years ago, and he had a drinking problem a long time ago. And his girlfriend would always make excuses. I said, nobody forced him to drink that bottle. Well, he had a rough childhood. Yeah, so did I. So
Mhm.
nobody forces you to put that booze or that dope in you. If you love the art of ventriloquism, you better love yourself too, man. Take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, and here's another thing too. Stay out of loud and noisy bars. It's bad on don't hang out in loud, noisy places. Too hard on your voice. When you wake up in the morning, drink one good solid glass of water before you say a word. These are maintenance things, right? Here's another thing. Here's another quick thing that this is very important.
Yes.
One day I woke up, no voice. Okay, figured to be back in 2 days. It didn't. I used to lose my head voice, but it'd come back in 2 days. My fault, subtle. I'd lose it. In over the years, I could, I still had the pinch voice, but nothing up there. It'd be gone, right?
Oh man.
It would happen.
Hmm.
Allergies, all that phlegm laying on your vocal cords, they can't move, so you don't have a head voice. But so a couple days later, it comes back, right?
Yeah.
But one time it didn't come back. 2 weeks go by, it didn't come back. Listen to this. I went to the University of Minnesota. They did the vocal strobe where they stick the wand with the cable down your throat to take a video of your vocal cords. You see it on the TV monitor.
Yeah.
You know what they said? You've got nodules, Todd. You're going to need surgery. I went and sat in my van.
What?
You're going to need surgery. You won't be able to talk for 6 months. I sat in my van in serious depression. I was in a production show. I got Maverick to sub for me because I had lost my voice. So Maverick was covering for the date for me. But they were depending on me, and I had a mortgage to pay for.
Yeah.
I call Opryland. I tell them. They said, "Get down here. We're going to take you over to Vanderbilt University." Got on an airplane, flew down to Nashville. They took me to Vanderbilt. They did the same video strobe down where they video your throat.
Right.
Todd, you don't have nodules. You don't have nodules. No, you're inflamed. But here, this steroid shot will help. They give me the steroid shot in the hip. 2 days later, my voice was back. Misdiagnosed.
Yeah. You always have to get a second
Get
opinion.
a second opinion.
Yeah.
And then I remember, you know Geraldine and Ricky? You know Geraldine?
No.
Geraldine Reagan and Ricky, great gospel vent.
Okay.
Great. Good friend. She's from Alabama. Geraldine has a fake. She's worked gospel gigs her whole life.
Mm-hmm.
We were doing a cruise together with Dr. Charles Stanley. This was in the 1980s, and Geraldine is sweet as sugar.
Yeah.
Well, one day I'm in the dining room having breakfast, and there's this preacher guy, and I'm sitting there, and Geraldine isn't there, but I'm sitting there, and a bunch of other people. This preacher guy's talking like a big shot,
Mm-hmm.
And someone said, "Well, we sure liked Geraldine Reagan last night," and this preacher said, "She won't have a voice in 5 years. She won't have a voice in 5 years. What she does to her vocal cords, it's terrible. She won't have it'll be over for her." He was completely full of crap.
Yeah.
See what I mean? There'll always be people that try to, if it's not some foul mouth creep in a comedy club, it's some, somebody else. It's always going to try. There'll always be people that don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, man, Danny Thomas, the great Danny Thomas, gave his daughter Marlo Thomas for her 18th birthday. He gave her a racing horse bridle with blinders. She said, "What's this?" He said, "Baby, run." She was going into show business. She's an actress.
Mm-hmm.
She married Phil Donahue. Well, at 18, she was kind of jealous of other performers that were making more strides in television than she was at the time.
Right.
So Danny gave her this racing horse bridle for her birthday and with the blinders. He said, "Honey, run your own race. Don't watch the other horses." run your own race.
I love that.
That's what it's about.
Yeah.
You don't have, you're not, you don't have, it's not, it's not in the cards for you to be another Edgar Bergen. It's not in the cards for you to be a Jeff Dunham. It's not in the cards for you to be a Darcy Lynn. It's not in the cards for you to be Joe Schmo. No, everybody has their own path and takes their own path and does their own thing. Yeah. Just don't get hung up. People either get hung up on the fame thing, or they get hung up on booze, or they get hung up on sex, or they get hung up on something. And then they feel like failures. Television has been nice, but I never got hung up. I never was real competitive. I just wanted to keep working and having fun and doing it.
Yeah.
And if I'm at a little dinner theater in Moose Breath, Iowa, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm not making as much money as other guys. So what? Man, as an artist, we have to run our own race. We have to do our own thing. Don't get hung up on other performers or God Almighty, don't let some family members I used to say at the event convention one time, I used to say, hey man, if your girlfriend doesn't like your figures, get a new girlfriend. If your boyfriend doesn't like you being an event, get a new boyfriend. Don't let somebody build a ceiling on you because they're hung up.
Yeah.
You're an artist. Do your thing, man. But don't get hung up on others. Because really, God made each one of us an individual. Yeah. He made each one of us an individual. And it's so, and the beauty of ventriloquism and show business is the evolvement of it. It may not happen as fast as you want it to happen. And hey man, so that one agent called about me doing that thing that opened for James Brown. Wasn't in the cards. Doggone right it wasn't. That certain TV, I've turned down a couple TV shows because I know I don't want to do that. I don't want to be part of that scene. It's not for me. I don't fit there. I don't need it.
Right.
I'm not gonna be a pawn. That's 99% of my 98% of show business have been pretty doggone good.
Yeah, but that's the interesting thing too, is that you have all these media outlets that some of them are helping ventriloquism like AGT, but then others want to report on the convention and make it look like it's this sad little thing and that it's a dead art, and they don't actually want to everyone wants to push it even when it's right now when it's thriving.
They've always done it.
Imagine, but even as a media source, imagine how original of content you could create if you did something positive about it.
Right on, man.
It just
right
on. We called out Jeff Goltz and myself. Jeff Goltz is a up and coming ventriloquist. He's been doing comedy in Indianapolis, and we had Taji Amin of Vice on here not too long ago, and they came to convention and did a negative article about it, and we're working with them, seeing if they'll come back and do a spin of something positive and about the future of ventriloquism. So yeah, and we called them out for some. We called them out for some of the way that they approached it. Because it's our art, and it's and we're growing up in it, and it's such a neat thing, and I'm excited. In closing here, I'm excited to have you as part of the virtual ventriloquism variety show. We're happy to have you and Irving in that, and we're really hoping it'll be a success and that a lot of people will join in. And
I was flattered to be asked. Yeah, I was flattered to be asked. Yeah. Hollywood's always bashed ventriloquism.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at those episodes of The Twilight Zone.
Yeah. Goosebumps.
Okay, look at the Magic thing, the movie Magic.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, you know why? Because it's easy to go that route.
Right.
Just like talking dirty to an audience. It's easy.
Or using curse words with a puppet. It's guaranteed a laugh every time.
Yeah.
And you know what Terry Fator told me? He said, he said, he's like, I might have jokes that are innuendos or suggestive.
Yeah.
But it's always a clean explanation for the kids. And I will never, it's 100% easier to curse with a puppet and you're guaranteed a laugh. But it's that much harder to not and to go the road less traveled. And he's like,
the thing is like in some rooms, you go to a comedy club, you're going to hear the off-color language. So, I mean, but a regular working vent, it's going to hurt you. A vent makes its living doing shows. And most vent audiences are wide range age audiences. And that's, like I say, I always get back to the figure having that impish, pixie-like charm.
But that's such a good way to put it. And so, when creating a character, it's so important. Even if it's something that's scary looking or whatever, and you're trying to reverse it, it still has to have that something where it gains the audience's favor.
Brad Cummings is a friend of mine.
Yes,
he's got this Dinosaur Rex,
Yes. Yeah.
And I just love that character.
So great.
He's such a wonderful character.
Mm-hmm.
He's such a wonderful character. The character of that. Mark Merchant has Jackson.
Yes. Yeah.
Jackson is a wonderful character.
Yeah.
Those guys, I scream laughing at them.
Yeah.
But the characters are so great.
Yeah.
And Brad does a joke. I won't do it because if you're watching, you know what joke I'm talking about. I scream every time the dummy does it. But you know why? Because Brad is an individual, and he spent so much time, and now that dummy has an individual, charming, special thing. Well, it wasn't easy. Brad paid his dues like the rest of us. Mark Merchant. Yeah. I got Mark the gig when I left the Bahamas. I got Mark the gig there. So he did 2 shows a night, 6 nights a week for a zillion years with Jackson.
Right.
Jackson's character developed into this, So that's all you vets out there. Get out there and now don't volunteer free shows when the client's gonna pay. You don't want to ace some other working pro out of a good paying gig because those aren't the kind of gigs, But senior citizen luncheons are a great place to break in stuff. Energy can be low. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's high. The independent senior living places,
Yeah. Older women's lunches are pretty
They're great.
Yeah.
They're great. Here's I did one. I'll tell you real quickly.
Yeah.
Delta Kappa Gamma Sorority Women Educators. Minneapolis Women's Club, 1990. Yeah. I got booked at it. My agent at the time booked me. And here's again, opening joke, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now you can't always do an opening gag for that client. Uh-huh. Sometimes you can. This was the opening joke. Played the little piano, pulled Joey out of the bench, comes out. Hey, Todd, great to be here. It's all women. The dummy's looking around. There's all women. All women. There's no men here. Todd, there's no men here. What's going on? There's no men here. Joey, this is Delta Kappa Gamma. To belong to the sorority requires patience, intelligence, and understanding. Oh, that's why there's no men here. Boom! Cannonball. Boom! We're in like Flynn. And then you tag it. Well, They forgot that joke. Boy. They often relate to that. Can't see the tags?
Yes. Yeah.
They can relate to that. Look at lady. What do you think we're talking about? Your husband? You know what I mean? Bam, 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 bam. See what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, all women audiences, great. You know who are great? Nurses are great. You know who else are great? Undertakers are great. Morticians, great audiences. Physicians can be a little quiet. Engineers, they're trying to figure out how the dummy works. Morticians, party animals. They
Really?
love
Wow.
that. And nurses. Nurses are great. Oh yeah, yeah. I and you can sometimes. I remember one time I was doing a Catholic school,
Okay.
and Joey looked at a nun,
Oh, jeez.
and he said, "I've seen you before. I've seen that's Catwoman. You're on Batman." No, 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 no.
Oh,
No,
man.
that's Sister Monique. Batman's got a sister.
Oh, man. That's hilarious.
Oh, yeah. Oh, here's one, man. Here's a story for you. You want a story?
Yeah, sure.
All right. I'm playing in Nashville. I'm playing the production show at night, and then I'm out during the day to do those school shows, right? Well, I worked for a crooked school agent for about 15 minutes. This guy was a real crook. He would book anything at schools to make a commission. He was a bum. I didn't know it at the time.
Yeah.
I didn't working for him very long. So he told me I was had to be at this high school in Eastern Tennessee, like at 9 o'clock in the morning. So I drive the night before, after my production show, I drove up, checked in some flea bag motel, woke up, had breakfast, got to the school early, right?
Yeah.
Principal was a big fat redneck guy. And he said, "I didn't book no puppet act. I booked country singer. You take your puppet to go home, boy." I said, "Sir, I have the confirmation. Boy, I did not book no puppet act. I booked country singer. We don't want no puppet act here, boy." Well, I did some fast talking and agreed to let him take the date. And this is one of those, back in those days in the South, the kids were paid $2 to come to the show. You get $1, the school will get $1.
Right.
Yes, there were principals that would rip you off.
Mm.
But anyways, so I convinced this big redneck guy to take the show. And it was in an auditorium, a nice auditorium.
Really?
Right?
Okay.
Okay, back in those days, I had my road rack. I had a cassette player that played the music, my opening music, and I had a foot switch down by the mic stand. The button on the left would start the tape, and the button on the right would stop it. And I had my music all queued up, right? So I used to always tell the MC or the principal, after you say Todd Oliver, this is a high school day, so I used to open up with Stand By Me song. So I'd say, as soon as you say, "Please welcome Todd Oliver and Joey," hit the button on the left. Okay. And that's what they would do. And then the music would start, and then the figure, and I'd walk out with the figure. And back in those days, I kept pops in the piano bench.
Okay.
Well, this big fat redneck principal, I didn't know it. He had a folding chair on stage next to my stool. He introduces me, then he sits down on the chair. Well, he was I'd say about 4 feet away from me. He sat on the stage with his arms crossed, eyeballing me during my show. We didn't book no puppet act. I'm going to keep my eye on you, boy. I'm not kidding. So what do you think I did?
You're like the court jester. It's like,
what do you think I did?
make fun of him the entire time.
All right from the top.
This guy's got the front row seat.
Joey zinged him. And see, back in those days, you could do the heavy jokes.
Yeah.
Man, I bet when there's Mr. Jones. Yeah, hey, Mr. Jones. You know Mr. Jones? He carries himself well. Yeah, he needs both hands to do it. Look, here's 2 words you've never said. I'm full. I bet when you sit around the house, you sit around the house. Now, you can't do those jokes really much anymore, But Joey zinged through the kid that was high school, and it was a killer show. But this guy said, and he was laughing because right off he couldn't help it, and he started laughing, right along with it, And then I think about halfway through, he went down and sat in the front row or sat somewhere else to watch the show.
That's great. Oh man,
Tell you,
wow, that is awesome.
Yeah. There's a bunch of those stories. Some of them are in my book that I'm putting out. Well, a lot of the stories.
Oh, yeah. Where can you tell our audience where we'll be?
It'll be on my website probably in the fall, or on my website or the Facebook thing.
And your website is
funnydog.com or toddoliver.com. And
awesome.
then the Todd and Irving on Facebook.
Yes.
I'm not real savvy with all the internet and stuff. My wife and my daughter had to get this thing set up so I could do the interview.
By the way, thank you so much for being part of Land and Live and for sharing your story.
Hey, listen, thank you for having me. I'm flattered. And
yeah, we had a lot of fun.
Hey, everybody, chase your rainbows, man. This is America, Canada. We've got our freedom. We've got a great country here. We're going to beat the pandemic. It's going to get over. They're going to get the shot. We're all going to get better. Ventriloquism, it's a wonderful art. Respect yourself and respect our art, and just go out and have fun. When you go to the best advice I ever got, this chick I was dating years ago before I was married, I was real nervous on some date somewhere. And she said, Todd, just go out and have a good time. Ventriloquists, know your material, then go out and have a good time. Yeah. God bless you all.
Wise words. Thank you so much, Todd, for being part of Land and Live and for sharing your story.
Thank you, Landon.
All right. You guys take care.
You too, buddy. Bye-bye.